Greetings and salutations, friends. So, Q&A answering time. Let's see if there's toppled in a few questions, shall we? Hopefully there's more than one or two. I haven't actually even looked at this video since I started it, so let's see. First question, do you think the Vampire Counts in Total War Warhammer will be able to reanimate dead enemy units in battle or after battles on the campaign map? I will only be reading the main comment, by the way, not all of the comments, so excuse me if you have put a question in there, but I am very, very lazy, after all. So, do I think it will happen? That is a hard question, because do I think it will happen? No, because it would make too much sense for the Vampire Counts to be able to do that, and lately Creative Assembly has been making a whole lot of sense, so I can't honestly say I think it will happen, but I hope it will happen. I do still have some faith in Creative Assembly when it comes to their game design. If nothing else, they have made some interesting decisions lately, certainly, but I still have hope. So yes, I would hope that they're capable of reanimating dead enemy units in battle. Not necessarily enemy units, perhaps, but after the battle, certainly. Like, if you kill 200 enemy units and you are able to raise an arbitrary percentage of that, certainly. During battle, enemy units, perhaps not, because I can see some gameplay issues with that getting out of hand really quickly, but reanimating their own units, I would certainly hope they would be able to do. So, I hope so. It would be cool to see them reanimate dead enemy units as well, just seeing them, raise up as zombies, essentially. But, I imagine that would have some rather severe balance problems. But then again, I might be wrong. Maybe Creative Assembly could find a way around it, in which case it would be really, really cool. How is this a question? Can you please not show us your face? I generally like you being disembodied posh voice. Posh voice, thank you. This isn't actually a question, but I didn't intend to do that anytime soon. So, sure. Will you play another GTOS? That would be Gravity Tactics campaign? Is it? GTOS. I think that's it. I'm not entirely sure. I'm GTOS. Gravity Tactics. What is the OS for? It has different names in different regions too, so could it be I think it's called Achtung Panzer here in Europe. Gravity Tactics Achtung Panzer to begin with. Operation Star, that's it. Of course it is, silly me. Campaign. I was planning to do a campaign on it eventually. Not sure which one yet. I'm kind of tempted by the African one, so I'm not entirely sure, honestly. So that's a definitive maybe, probably, on that one. It will probably happen at some times. I want to play it, but not sure which one. I'm curious, in your opinion, what will the future hold for CA if they continue down this very unpopular business model? I mean, find downfalls here, or will it be the base for potential battle titles when that okay, so I don't think Creative Assembly is going to die because of this. If they survived Empire Total War, if they survived Rome 2 Total War, they can almost certainly survive Warhammer Total War. If they fuck up the next historical Total War, I would start to begin worrying just a tiny little bit, because they have never had two complete fiascos in a row before. So if they manage to screw up Rome 2, and they manage to screw up the next historical war just as much, then I might start getting a little bit worried for them, simply because if they don't change their business model at that point, the next historical or even just fantasy Total War is probably going to see some pretty serious repercussions in their orders. Like, already, you have to remember, currently, the pre-orders for Total War Warhammer, the next big Total War game, is nowhere even remotely close to the Steam top sellers. In fact, last time I checked, it was on page 11. This is not normal for a Total War game, so there are certainly consequences being felt right now, though I'm suspecting that has more to do with chaos nonsense than Creative Assembly and their decisions in general. So no, I think they'll be fine as long as they don't screw up another Total War historical game. Next one, what are your thoughts on rogue traders? Have you played the RPG Rogue Trader, and will you make a video about their lore? I have not played the RPG much. I had a single session of it way back when, and it didn't work out wonderfully, so I don't know that much about them. I know the basics of the lore, but I'd have to research them a bit. They're relatively far down on my list of current priorities, as I'm going to finish up the Titan videos. Then I'm probably going to start doing a proper faction video for Orcs or Tyranids, perhaps, because I want to get done with as many of the faction videos as I can within a reasonably short time span, which, by my standards, is roughly a year or so, and after that I'm not entirely sure what I want to do, because my plan basically, for the moment, is to establish a groundwork, and then eventually start diving into Horus Heresy lore, so, I don't really plan this out that often in several weeks in advance. I essentially just do whatever I feel like doing that particular week, honestly, so, will there be a video about them? Probably. When? I couldn't begin to guess, sorry. Okay, what is it about Warhammer and the architectural arches that is by your namesake? Well, Warhammer, because to begin with, the channel was primarily going to be about Total War Warhammer, and then it grew at a rather incredible speed, honestly. And I started wanting to make other content just to give you guys something to watch, so the Warhammer parts kind of slipped out of date. But Arch, well, that was literally just something I came up with when I was falling asleep one night and feeling like, that sounds cool, I'll use that. I can even draw the logo in paint or whatever. And, by the way, for the logo, the fact that the thingy-da-bobs and the pillars are not entirely equal, I know that. That's on purpose, purely to piss off a few of you, because I know just how much that annoys some people. I live on your suffering. Okay, next one. I've asked this question in the last subscriber Mark Reach anniversary video. Yes, I probably didn't read that then, because honestly, I don't know, the anniversary videos, I know people do that, like, I'm gonna do something special with the anniversary. I've been busy doing the normal videos. I haven't had enough of a warning to really start preparing anything. I guess that's the downside of growing, so, yes, sorry, I probably didn't read that one. Could you record some Warhammer Tabletop games with a friend of yours? Unlikely. Essentially just because none of the people I used to know that played Warhammer live here anymore. They're pretty much all moved away. As far as I'm aware, there is no tabletop gaming clubs anywhere near my area, so I doubt it. Most of my miniatures are in storage these days, honestly, and frankly, I'd be slightly embarrassed to show them off. The paint job on those miniatures is awful. Oh, I painted most of them like 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I was really shit at it. Never got any a whole lot better either, so they look like absolute shit. They're serviceable for tabletop use, but yeah, they're horrible. I would be deeply ashamed. So, unlikely, perhaps, in the distant future, perhaps, for some kind of anniversary video, maybe. Like, give me 1 million subscribers, I'll consider it. Next one. When you start doing lore on the Space Marines, how will you go about it? Haven't the faintest fucking clue. Legion numbers or Order of the Primax were found in, or just whatever one you want to do. I haven't the faintest, mate. In all due likelihood, what I was originally planning is I would start going through the Primarchs and their legions in whatever order strike my fancy, and I will then be going through the legions, so the Horus Heresy lore of the Space Marine legions rather than the current lore. And then, if it is one of the founding chapters, then I'll talk a little bit about their current situation as well, of course. But other than the primary legions, don't know when I'll touch upon that, because just a Space Marine lore video is not something I'll touch upon too much. I will explain what a Space Marine is, of course, in the lore video, but it's a very odd subject, and I haven't decided yet if I want to make a separate what is a Space Marine video, or if I just want to go with legions, etc., so I'm not entirely sure about that one. Next one. Question, what do you consider feminism? And please say the textbook definition of feminism. I think you may be referring to feminazism. Also, what 40k army do you play? Okay, that's an odd question. What do you consider feminism? And please say the textbook definition of feminism. Somewhat leading question, but okay. Also, what 40k army do you play? Oh, well, currently I don't play any of them, but I used to play Blood Angels, of course, because they're broken pieces of donkey ass. Oh, good god. Current codex not that bad, but back in the old days when you can have a random number of Death Company, if the dice god smiled, that was some proper nonsense right there. I have a small salamander army because black people in space is bloody hilarious, and they've all got flamers. Good god, I love flamers. Also, I adore their background, I really do. Especially the recent background, Jesus, I can't speak English anymore. About Vulcan, which is a really cool story, a fair bit Deus Machina, and I know a lot of people didn't like that story, but I won't give any spoilers because it is, yes, it has some pretty bad, I don't even know what to say, insane things in them, I suppose I should say, but I kind of liked it for some strange reason, so there's that. Of course, Imperial Guard, I had a small group of Eldars, and let's see, I tried collecting Tyranids, mostly just because they were bugs and I wanted an army of nothing but Tyranids little ones, but that was a really, really bad army. And that's about it. I was thinking about Necrons for a while, but then I saw their army list, and this was back in the original inception of the Necrons, and I bought their army book, and it was terrible. They had so few units, and that just turned me off, but okay. Back to the other one, the feminism. So, the textbook definition of feminism. The textbook definition of feminism changes so goddamn often that I'm not even sure. I do believe the textbook definition is someone who seeks equal rights for females, be it politically, economically, sexually. What was the rest? It was a hell of a list too. You know what? Let me just wiki it, because why the hell not? I'm assuming you would be fine with the wiki definition. I mean, shit, if you've seen what they've done to the Gamergate wiki article, I would think that wiki would be a fairly friendly place for feminists. Okie dokie is a range of movements and ideologies that share a common goal to define, establish, and achieve equal political, economic, cultural, personal, and social rights for women. Damn, that was a mouthful. This includes seeking to establish equal opportunities for women in education and employment. A feminist advocates or supports the rights and equality of women. So that's 3 definitions, essentially, in one there, but I guess that will work. Okay. My definition of a feminist is not this, I'll give you that much, because, well, this doesn't apply to most Western countries. It would apply to many Eastern countries, but that's the problem. I rarely see feminists actually talking about Eastern countries. I usually see them banging on about Western problems, which is what annoys me primarily about them. Like, if they were talking about an actual country with these problems in them, I'd be all for it, but again, I wouldn't use the term feminism, I would use the term egalitarianism, in fact, because that is the equal rights of everyone. An equal rights movement that fights purely for the rights of one gender is not my definition of an equal rights movement. Not to mention that, of course, most of these rights women in the West already have, and more of, particularly the establishing equal opportunities for women in education and employment. Fun fact, in Britain, in Sweden, and in Norway, and I do believe recently in Germany, women make up the majority of university students, so if anything, we should be establishing equal opportunities for men in those sectors. I know. It's silly, isn't it? And hell, education and employment in Denmark at the moment, young women earn more than young men. So, again, you can see my problem with a movement that focuses entirely on the rights of one gender. It won't lead to equality. So as far as I'm concerned, this definition of feminism, this definition here on the wiki, is not a definition that means equal rights. This is a definition talking about supremacy. So, sorry, I know that's probably not the answer you wanted, but I am entitled to my own opinion, at least for a short while longer. So, Arch, was the Emperor a bad dad, or was mine still really naughty boys? The Emperor was a terrible daddy. You have to remember, essentially he just sprung this on his sons after the Battle of Ulanor, like, well, kiddies, I'm going home. What's that? You want to know what I'm going to do? Ha ha ha, silly children. That's far too important for your tiny brains. See ya! No, the Emperor was a horrible dad. Horus didn't turn evil from his own will. He didn't wake up one day and go like, fuck daddy, I will destroy everything he has ever built. Yeah. That was not quite what happened. He was corrupted by chaos and tricked. If you read the Horus Heresy novels, the way it happened was actually beautiful, because the Chaos Gods never actually lied to Horus. They just showed him a slightly changed perspective of the future. It was beautiful. So yes, a little bit of both, I suppose. Next, what armies do you own for the Tabletop Warhammer Fantasy? Oh, good God, no, please don't make me list them. I think I've collected pretty much all of them to a greater or lesser degree at some point. And with lesser degree, I mean like 1 or 2 box sets just to, paint them and see if I enjoyed painting them, because I was shit at painting stuff, and if it required a lot of work, I just couldn't do it. Oh, I was such a lazy little bastard back then. I haven't played Fantasy for a while. That's why I primarily gravitated towards Skaven, because painting Skaven is literally just, okay, take all of the Skaven, line them up in a row, spray paint them all black, that's your shading done, and then spray paint them lightly brown. Voila, now they're brown, and then paint in some of the cloth bits, like, just a little bit of dash of colour there, a little bit of dash of colour there, and voila, an entire unit of Skaven in like 10 minutes, well, slightly more than that, but yes, they were super easy to paint, and that's why I loved them, and thank God they were easy to paint, because there was a fucking lot of them. But yes, I have owned pretty much all of them, with the exception, I believe, I know there was one I didn't have. Which the hell one was it? It wasn't the Vampires, it wasn't the Lizmen, it wasn't the Dark Elves, it wasn't the High Elves, it wasn't the Skaven, obviously, it wasn't the Bretonnia, it wasn't the Empire, it wasn't the Ogres, it wasn't Chaos, it wasn't... Which one was it? What? No, I had Dwarf. No, I had Chaos Dwarfs, that's what it is. Yes, I didn't collect the Dwarfs. My brain was farting there for a moment, but I had Dwarfs, no, those had Snaggletooth, those aren't the same, so yes. One army I did not collect was Dwarves. Primarily because I fucking hated the little buggers. You can't remember, I primarily played Skaven. Oh, fuck me, I hated Dwarfs. Ooh, refused flank. Oh, you son of a sackcloth. Oh, good God, no. Dwarves are the worst, by the way, if you're playing Skaven. They are evil! Okay, moving on. Yes, I made a video about this one, so I want to answer it here. 2 questions. Sisters of Battle are some kind of woman space marines. Well, kind of, but not entirely. Are there any Chaos Sisters of Battle or anything of that sort? No, not really. Well, technically, I guess in some of the fluff there are corrupted sisters, but as an official, order or anything? No, they are quite devoted to the Emperor, let's just say. They are they're raised from birth, essentially, to be extremely religious, and they don't turn easily. Is Malice really a Chaos God? What's its activities recently? I do believe there was a minor Chaos God named Malice, but do remember, in the Warp, anything that has enough feelings around it is technically a god. The Eldar technically have gods that still exist, so Malice, for example, is a Chaos God, but he's a very, very small Chaos God, just like there's the Chaos God... Oh, no, actually, it wasn't Malice the Chaos God of Rape. I was about to say there's a Chaos God of Rape, because that's technically not Slaanesh, except, kind of it is again. Slaanesh is a complicated man, isn't he? Oh, well, man, woman, thing, ding, transgender, but whatever. So yes, he is a real Chaos God, along with many other things. The Emperor, technically, is a Chaos God, considering how many people believe in him, which is why it would be really interesting to see what would happen if he would actually die. That would be quite interesting. Actually, yes, I comment here, Malice got retcon. I do believe he actually did several times, in fact, but I don't know the current canon on him. I would assume he's still around because, with the Liber Chaotica, they stated very clearly that anything and everything can become a god if it has enough worshippers and if it has enough feelings behind it. So I'd say that Malice does exist. As for recent activity, I can't remember off the top of my head. He corrupted a chapter of Space Marines, but I can't remember their names right now. I want to say Flesh Tearers, but I'm pretty sure they're still loyal, so no. It was something like that, something like tearing bloody nonsense. I could look it up, but honestly, this video is already going to be long enough because I just started rambling. Simple question, ramble on for 10 minutes. I know, I suck at this. Will be some more Warhammer tactics. I kind of answered that already, so refer to the previous one. You see, the PC Gamer UK mag for Warhammer interview has some interesting stuff. 6 days ago, probably not that one in case. If it's referring to the one I think it is, then yes, I did see one that, and it didn't have that much new information, so I wasn't really tickled by it. Would you make sweet love to a Slaanesh demonette? Depends entirely on whether or not it has dingly parts. If it has dingly parts, I'll have to excuse myself. I am a Norwegian after all, and we are deeply, deeply homophobic and racist and sexist and everything. We're just horrible people, essentially, so it would have to be no dingly parts. But without the dingly parts, well, I'd still be hesitant, but, I mean, considering that the option would be that she'd eat me, quite literally, and not in the sexual way, I'd probably do it. Just according to 40k, I'm looking to immerse myself more in the lore, specifically for the Space Marine. Have the Codex, collected graphic novels, regular text novels available. Aha! Graphic novels, indeed. Very few of those around these days. Not in sale anymore, anyways. But if you know your way around some pirate sites, and yes, I know I'm advocating piracy, but you can't even buy these bastards anymore, I think. If you look on the Black Library, their book website, blacklibrary.co.uk, I think, or might be just even .com, there might be some still. Not entirely sure. It was quite a while ago. They had a cooperation with, I believe it was named Black Horse or something. At least their icon was a black horse. I'm not very much into comic books, I'm afraid. In fact. But there were some, but I do not think there are any in print any longer. But like I said, if you can find your way onto a torrent site and then search for Warhammer 40k comic or graphic novel, etc., you should come up with a fair few hits. I mean, if you feel bad about torrenting it, then, that's your prerogative, but I don't think you can actually get them anywhere else now. Like I said, check the Black Library. Let's see, can I come up with a name of them? I know one of them. That was reasonably good. What the hell was his name? 40k comic. If I can just see like a page or something, I'll remember the bloody name for the damn thing. None of this. Well, aha, yes, there it is. Fire and Honor, that's the one. That one was pretty good, and I do believe that was a series. Oh, Blood and Thunder, that one was also damn good. Yes, so, for example, doing something like this will give you a few. I doubt these are in sale any longer. It was a very long time since these were actually a thing, so sorry, can't really help you too much with that one. What are your favorite YouTube Warhammer battle reports? Sounds like T-Hammer fans about it. Honestly, I don't have one. I don't watch battle reports on YouTube. Because honestly, I just find them very boring. I'm sorry. I don't like watching other people play Warhammer. I do like to play Warhammer. I just wish there was someone around here to play with, but hey, sadly. But no, sadly, I don't actually watch any, so, sorry. Call of War has 1.6 beat Intertrides, given their name is in Russian. Some long for the experience, following characters. Okay. No, I will not be playing in Russian because I can't read Russian, which I find to be a little bit... Oh, no, I was about to say problematic, but I have a new favourite word. Unfortunate. So, yes, no, probably not. Long 40k stories... I usually don't do that because it would essentially just be me reading from a wiki or something, you know, which I find boring. I do try to put a little bit of a conversationalist spin on whatever I do. And I don't know if that's a good thing or whatever, but that's what I usually do anyway, so probably not. I might do something along the lines of the Horus Heresy with the Primarchs, because I will be following those relatively closely, but I'll probably at least. I'm still not entirely sure what I'm going to do with those videos. So, in that case, yes, probably, but can't say for certain. How likely do you think we are to see the Chaos Wolves either playable NPC or faction? NPC? Probably. I would hope to see them as a playable faction, but I doubt it. I think they'll be an NPC faction. Ideally hope they'll be playable, because that would be amazing, but yeah, I would be surprised if they were playable, but NPC faction, definitely hope it. Are the Skaven real? What, Ratmen hiding in the sewers? Of course not, don't be silly. Shh. Alright, what was the first army you played in Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k? Well, I answered the other part of the question, so, you know, refer to the other ones. First army in Fantasy was... Oh god, that's a long time ago. I believe actually it was Chaos Dwarfs, because it was the first book I bought. Technically, it was Hobgoblins, actually, because I bought like 2 boxes of Hobgoblins because I thought the miniature was cool, and then later on I noticed that there was rules for this, and I'm like, oh, what? Rules? I can play with these? That's fantastic. So that would have to be Chaos Dwarfs, yes. Warhammer 40k, Blood Angels, obviously, they were the most broken at the time, so yes, I jumped over those. I started out with Fantasy, actually, because I started out with the Chaos Dwarfs, and then I graduated to the bullshit that was the Wood Elves, and then I got into 40k after that again, with Blood Angels. I was very, very close to painting Ultra Smurfs to begin with, purely because that was the color scheme on the box of miniatures that I bought, and luckily I opened the actual army book and noticed the Blood Angels before I started committing that hideous, hideous sin. Well, God, the old Ultra Smurfs were terrible, but new Ultra Smurfs, pretty damn good actually. Horus Heresy Ultra Smurfs, very good. I like those. I approve. What is your face like? If you don't want 3, show it. 2, show it, I suppose. Do you have a beard? Of course I have a beard, obviously. Doi. I'm a shitlord. Of course I have a beard, obviously. What is your face like? Horrible. Absolutely horrible. It would literally just destroy any camera I try to film with, so no, wouldn't happen, sadly. Hoi 4 playthrough. Yes, I am planning on that, because that would be very, very amusing indeed. Enjoy videos... Okay, that's not technically a question, but thank you. First Dark Heresy stream will be... Dark Heresy. Dark Heresy. Dark Heresy. I know that word. Why am I completely stumped by it? Google to the rescue. Dark Heresy. That's probably not Derek Heresy. That's not quite it either. Let's just copy that. I can't spell worth a shit, by the way. Oh, yes, the RPG. God damn it, of course. Never, sadly. I don't have anyone to play with, so that seems extremely unlikely indeed. The Viking series. The music is indeed glorious. The Vikings themselves aren't terrible either. Like, their historical representations of Vikings is good in so many cases, and then it completely falls through the floor in some other cases. So I actually quite enjoy the series. The storyline is... I'd say it bounces around like a goddamn yo-yo, from very good to goddamn abysmal, but I like it, I do, and like I said, a lot of the historical stuff is actually pretty good, so I do like that quite a lot. Can you speak Norwegian? Of course not, I've forgotten that language quite a while ago. What is your job? I steal people's money, preferably. That's mostly what I do. I give them useless shit in return, machine parts, robotics, automation, solutions. Mostly we just make pieces of metals, and we attach massive goddamn price stickers to them, and then we send them off to whoever is willing to purchase. And you would be surprised how many people would be willing to purchase. You are awesome. Yes, that is not a question, that is in fact fact. Why does Sigeman like Warpstone so much? Does a mage choose a specialization? Okay. Warpstone, well, they're addicted to it, essentially. It's what made them, and it's also their currency. So, it's kind of like asking why do humans like gold so much, except the Skavens can also sniff their particular gold to give them a high, so extra valuable. Mages, they do have certain preferences from birth, essentially, to deal with their talents, but I do believe they can learn whatever they essentially choose, even though in most cases they're just going to choose whatever they have the greatest preference for, the greatest skill for, essentially. As to whether or not they can specialize in 2 different winds of magic, I've never actually heard of that, so I don't think so. No, I have to check. I haven't been asked that question before, but no. I have never heard of a mage who controls multiple winds of magic, so that's a probable no. But how did you get started making videos for YouTube? By making a really, really bad one. My first video is something of the, probably the worst video uploaded to YouTube, in fact. It is goddamn awful. So that's how I started, by making utter dreck, and I have advanced somewhat from that. Essentially with just the excitement over Total War Warhammer, and God, I'm happy I started then, because I wouldn't have the excitement to do that now. If Skaven were dead, how will you react? The Skaven can't die, you silly bastard, they're immortal. Does the Blood Bowl deity Nuffle appear anywhere else in Warhammer Fantasy lore? Only unofficially. He was invented by the Blood Bowl fanbase to, well, be angry at dice rolls. Mordheim also read as a self-contained universe for all purposes. Not self-contained, no, it is a part of Warhammer, but that part used to be under a separate branch of Specialists Games, so there were some differences that didn't quite go along, but no, technically they are parts of the same universe. Do you think that the Warhammer Fantasy World is one of the many in the Warp and the universe of one? Crazy. Is it actually true? Haven't the faintest. That's one of those questions like, is it somewhere else? Well, if we're... No. I was about to say, if we consider that horrible thing that happened not so long ago, then probably not. But I'd like to believe so, because that would be really, really cool if it was somewhere in the Milky Way galaxy, perhaps deep in the eastern fringes, for example. That'd be pretty cool, but don't know for certain. Will there ever be built a temple to the bridge god? Well, if you found it, or fund it, or just flat out build it, then yes, but otherwise we are looking at one fuck of a Kickstarter campaign. I am a listener as I, long-time lover of the Warhammer universe, a player and a major fan of Total War Syndrome. The question is, if Warhammer Total War comes out and it's either awesome game or it's playable up and released with blah blah, do videos of your playthrough on single player and maybe even any multiplayer match playing. I don't play multiplayer a lot in Total War game, pretty much ever really. Never really gotten into it. I'm not really that kind of player. Will I do a campaign playthrough out of it? Certainly. If it is utter and complete unplayable dogshit, as in it crashes every 5 minutes, then it's going to be impossible, but if it is at least as relatively stable as Rome 2 on launch, I will be playing through it regardless of the nonsense, although I will probably be patching it, modding it, I forgot my terminology there, relatively soon to fix some of the more glaring issues, and God, I hope there will be modding of some sort. But yes, I will play it, even if it is really, really bad. I will at least try to play it. Next one, considering the many different nerd universes out there, why did you choose Warhammer? Second, is there any other universe that you consider doing in the future? Well, I choose Warhammer because that's what I actually know, so, I could start talking about Star Wars, but I'd be primarily pulling shit out of my cavernous anus, so probably not. Any other universe that you consider doing in the future? Well, yeah, essentially, maybe. I could read up on these universes, but I'm sure there are better sources for that kind of lore out there. So I would essentially just have to research and study up on them, and in that case, I don't know which one. Star Wars is a popular choice. It would probably get me a lot of views, but then again, I don't really do this for the views, so I don't know. I don't know shit about Star Wars. Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, Star Wars and what I know about it just makes it into an inferior version of Warhammer. And yes, I know I just tickled a lot of bollockses there, but yes. I don't know a whole lot about it, so probably not. Star Trek? I don't know shit about Star Trek. I don't know. It would take something somewhat special, I think, for me to do other universes. I still have a hell of a lot of 40k stuff to cover. If you got offered a full-time job against work to fix you, then broken only if that contract came with a 100% authority on everything. I would have to be hired as literally the only authority on anything and everything within the entire company. And then I'd go for it. And it would be my life goddamn fucking work. It would take me many long a year, but yes. I doubt that's going to happen, unfortunately. You're welcome. Warhammer Fantasy happened in the New World. That's just a thing, but sure that can't be it. And 2, do what Tim Emperor had a text-to-speech device. Aha. Excuse me, I've misread. My brain is not reading correctly right now. I'm reading too much text. My dyslexia is fucking acting up on me. What happened in the New World? What happened? Well, the Lustrians, the lizardmen, dumped down there and started building shit. As for recent developments, the Norskins have several trading settlements over there. Several of the Old World factions have similar outposts there to explore the area, because the lizardmen have a lot of gold, and, well, there's a lot of people who would like that gold. It hasn't been that well built upon in the lore, to be honest, so I couldn't really go into too much detail, I am afraid. There hasn't been a whole lot of books set in the area. There was a Thanquol, Grey Seer, Thanquol's book set in Lustria, but it wasn't very good, which saddens me greatly, because Grey Seer Thanquol, Jesus Christ, Thanquol, excuse me, is one of my favourite characters, so that was quite sad. But yes, pirates, nonsense, undead pirates, by the way, also, and giant Mayan lizard people, so pretty much it. The south part of Lustria is essentially just entirely crowded by beastmen, and that's about it. Oh my god, a Swedish person. This is a very simple, but very... I'm sorry, my Swedish translation to English is going to be a bit dodgy. But a very often asked question. How are you? Yes, that is a very common question. And what are your thoughts about the refugee crisis that is currently undergoing? And that means, have you changed your lifestyle? Do you give more money to the homeless? Do you walk around and worry about somebody screaming Allah Akbar next to you? Or don't you give the faintest of shits and just go through your life as normal, have a good day, or night, most bloody definitely. 6 o'clock in the morning, in fact. I know. I don't sleep much. I don't like sleeping. Sleeping is bad. It costs me time and things to do. It's a horrible waste of time, honestly. Okay, so the refugee crisis. Good God, I've been asked about feminism, and now this. This is going to be quite the landmine, isn't it? I don't give the faintest of shits, friend. I'm sorry. I don't give the faintest of shits about the refugee crisis in Europe. I would be more than happy to give money if it was directed to the people actually in the areas where this nonsense is happening, in Syria and the areas around there. If we could spend 100,000 kroners, which is nonsense money to all Americans, down there, we could simply help a lot more people. I think that having people come here, where we need to use way more money on them to integrate them into our society, is ridiculous. There's really no point in it. And the problem is, it's damaging to both parties. The position that Norway is in at the moment, we simply can't accept all of these people. We flat out can't. There's not enough teachers in Norway, even just to teach them Norwegian. Never mind teaching them our laws, etc. You have to remember these come from a very, very different culture to ours. They're going to require integration. We're not capable of offering that. And as for the money, shit, we can't afford that. That's the worst part. The sheer expenditure is insane. And the counter-argument is, of course, just, integrate them and get them out into work, and they'll pay for themselves. The problem is, if there isn't enough work, there are Norwegians that don't have work in our country. How do you expect us to find jobs for another 5,000 or 10,000 immigrants? I'm sorry, we just don't have it. There's no industry in Norway at the moment that is standing ready to expand its workforce by thousands of people. It's just not happening. I'm sorry, it's the logic of the situation. And you can counter-argument that it is our duty to help, and I'd say, yeah, morally it is, but we can't. We flat out can't. That's the problem. We could cut our standard of living, all of our standards of living, we could cut that and maybe free up money, but the thing is, we're already cutting that because we're growing older than we're supposed to. The economic crisis that we went through a few years ago is nothing compared to what is going to happen. Trust me on that one. And the immigration problem is going to make it more problematic. And yes, I know I used that word, it's horrible, isn't it? And the biggest issue that I see is the simple fact that when all of these people come to Europe, we are not capable of immigrating them. We're just flat out not capable. We don't have the resources, we don't have the capabilities, we don't have the educated personnel, we lack the infrastructure, which means that these people will remain locked in their own culture, and I am one of those people who do not think that all cultures are equal. I firmly believe that Middle Eastern culture that actively oppresses women and persecutes people for freedom of speech is a vastly inferior culture to that we have here in the West, and they need to be re-educated. I know, horrible word, I'm a Nazi and all that. But it is the only choice, because the alternative is that they will stay in the mindset of a lightly clad woman asking to be raped. And this is not a hypothetical scenario. This is happening far, far too often. There's become... hell, in Sweden, they even, in your country, they stopped recording the statistics for this because they were afraid the data would be considered racist. This is a very large problem. And the thing is that the only current solution when we refuse to talk about it and refuse to take steps to address it is that the right gets stronger. And that this isn't my right that wants some parts of the right, some parts of the left, but is leaning slightly towards the right. This is the proper right we're talking about here. This is not Sverigedemokraterna. This is not Fremskrittspartiet. This is the Nazis. And I don't think any of us want them to be getting in power again. And the problematic thing is, if people start getting afraid of the immigrants and start seeing their politicians as spineless and unable to do anything about what they label the problem, then the people who want to talk about it, desperately want to talk about it, and desperately want to do something about it, well, I'm really afraid that we're gonna go back to a rather uncomfortable period in our history. So, yeah. I don't know if that's an answer to the question, considering I rambled on about it for like 5 minutes. I hope it was, so let's move on. What is your standing on us Finnish people? And also, are you planning on playing with some of your fans in your spare time? Finnish people are wonderful people. They shot a lot of Russians during the Winter War, and they have earned my respect for that act. Shit. Not because they shot Russians, but because they held out for that long against goddamn Soviet Union. Impressive. You talk like complete donkeys, though I don't know what manner of cerebral palsy struck you people to create that language, but it is hideous. Oh good god, is it nonsense. Honestly, whenever anyone wants to immigrate to Scandinavia, like the previous question asked, we should send them to Finland first and introduce them to Finnish. If that doesn't turn them right the hell around, then they deserve to be here. But yes, Finnish people are wonderful. Why don't you focus on lore? Only would be an exceptional channel if there weren't so many games, people can only be interested in so many Let's Plays. Well, it's because I can't do lore only. I simply wouldn't last. I was doing a ton more lore when I was doing all of the factions for Warhammer, and I got burned the fuck out. I would maybe be able to do 2-3 lore videos a week for maybe a month, and then I would just be like, oh, I can't do this anymore, and I'd just stop. So I don't think anybody wants that. The Let's Play videos, it's a nice way for me to add some filler for those who want to see them, and according to the views, there are quite a few people who actually do watch those videos and find them amusing, so I'll keep doing them, because I find them amusing as well, so that's pretty much the reason for that. I would like to hear more detailed lore regarding the Games Workshop games, respectively called Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k. Well, yes, that will happen eventually. For every question that's asked like that, I should have said, like, I'd delay the lore video by a week. That'd buy me some time. Nationality, Nazi. Now, I think it's pretty obvious. I think... Oh, yes, Norwegian, of course, but I thought this was common knowledge at this point. Do you fuck bitches or get money? You kind of do both. I am firmly focused on the get money portion right now. The fuck bitches portion is on a solid amount of hold for a while. Ah, girlfriends. You know, every few years I get to the need to go find female company, and then I find a girl I like, and then we date for a while, and then everything gets really, really boring. I'm sorry, I just haven't found a girl I'm interested in yet, so yes, it's definitely the get money portion for now. Strangely enough, being hardcore interested in tabletop wargaming, games, and general nerd culture has left me somewhat ill-suited for the dating market in general. I'm usually capable of bullshit talking my way into a relationship, but once I'm in there, I'm like, well, this is incredibly boring. I wish I was home playing computer games, so yeah. When did you first get into Warhammer? Oh, good God, I can't remember. I must have been like, what, 10? So I don't even want to think about how long ago that's been, because I've just reached the age when I start wondering, am I old yet? Yes, I am, aren't I? What major races in Warhammer? I am soon. Do you plan to go? Sorry, my reading comprehension. X40k lore videos. Either the Orc or the Tyranids. Do you have a business email? Yes, it is in my YouTube thingy-bob details. How many factions do you think we're going to end up with in total Warhammer? All of them, I hope. So that's what I think. Most essential. Skavens and Chaos Dwarfs. Those are the most essential. Give me those and I'll be happy. What is the coolest thing that's happened during a game of Warhammer Tabletop for you? Well, I think that would have to be killing the enemy general with a Skaven Jezile team. I had 3 Jeziles, 2 of them missed, and the last dude went like, chill, I got this, and blew the enemy general out of his saddle despite his armor save, his lookout sir roll, and everything. That was quite beautiful. And it was a dwarf general too, so haha, fuck him. How worried are you that Total Warhammer is going to suck monkey balls? Very, very, very worried, but I'm trying to keep somewhat of a lid on it. Or in Norway do you live? The shittiest part, the south part. It is a horrible place to live. At least in the north you get proper cold and proper hot. Down here you just get, well, it's going to snow for a week and then it's going to be plus, so that the entire road turns into slush. Have fun driving, you little bitch. Ugh. Since you started your channel, which I find to be fantastic good to do you find playing games longer to be more workish? Do you find it all still to be fun? Playing games and everything, I find it to be still amusing, so as long as I find it amusing, I'll continue on it. How did you get around gathering all the knowledge you have at your disposal? Reading too many goddamn books. How much research do you do for your videos? Depends on the subject. How long have you been learning about the various universes? Oh, only the last 25 odd years. Well, it's a slight exaggeration. I started around 10, so 15 odd years, something along those lines. Mostly I just get my knowledge from the various army books, various wiki articles I've read, the various games I've played, the various novels I've read, that kind of stuff. Research, like I said, it varies greatly. Usually I just have a quick read through the source material I have at hand, be it my books, be it Lexiconum or whatever, just to freshen up my knowledge. And other than that, I do relatively little research, unless it's a subject I don't know much about. For example, the latest episode that'll be coming up sometime during today, or might even have come up already, Titan Weapons. I did a fair bit of research on that one because I didn't know that much about Titan weaponry, having never actually played with Titans. Top 3 favourite armies from 40k in fantasy lore-wise and aesthetic-wise. Well, Blood Angels first and foremost, because that beautiful peck power armor with the nipples on them. Oh, that is some nonsense. Sisters of Battle second, because they look kick-ass. And third... what would be third? Tempted to say Chaos, but meh. They're too spiky. Imperial Guard, probably, with a more... because they have such a wide range of aesthetics, from Valhallans to Cadians to Elysian Drop Troops, Warhawks, Talan Desert Raiders, etc. So that's probably my third one. Top 5, fuck you. I just named 3, be happy with that. How were you introduced to Warhammer? I just wandered into a store and picked up a book, honestly, and a couple of boxes. I was interested because you couldn't make heads or tails of it, so thank you ever since. If I started watching your videos, you gave me... so thank you ever since. Ever since? Oh, ever since. Yes, I was starting to wonder there. Am I reading wrong or whatever? Praise be Snugglebuff, indeed. Praise be Snugglebuff. Oh, League of Legends. Oh, good heavens, no. I did play that games, and I played quite a lot of it, but good God, I can't take MOBAs seriously. I really can't. When I do play MOBAs, I play Dota, and that's relatively rarely, and I am terrible at it, and I can't stream because I have terrible internet, so it's pretty much a kind of yes to the first one and no to the second one. Is any hope to get a good Warhammer Fantasy strategy game? Well, I still have hope for Total War Warhammer, so probably, I'm hoping. Shadow of the Horned Rat and Dark Omen. I didn't play those. I played Shadow of the Horned Rat, which was decent. Well, decent. It was good, actually. I wish I'd played Dark Omen, but I didn't, and now I can't play it because those graphics, ooh, just can't. Sorry. Which studio would you say would be able to deliver? Well, Warhammer Fantasy strategy game, and if Creative Assembly isn't capable of delivering, I'd probably hand it over to Relic, because I do have to have at least some trust in them, since they handle 40k very well, so they might be able to pull off fantasy as well, maybe. Kill, marry, fuck the Dark Eldar and the Harlequins. The Eldar, Dark Eldar, Harlequins. It's a complicated question, isn't it? Well, you'd have to kill the Dark Eldar, because otherwise they would kill me. And marrying an Eldar, ooh, the condescension. Oh god, that marriage would be quite the thing. Just every day you wake up, you just have your wife lying next to you, just staring at you with this look of utter fucking contempt. Oh good god. Oh, that would be a beautiful sitcom. Just god, that would be fantastic. So I think we have to marry the Eldar and fuck the Harlequins. Married to an Eldar. Good fucking god, that would be beautiful. Oh, if you have a proper masochism fetish, that must be your wet dream. Just, good god. The cold stares. The endless cold stares. Oh, that would be fantastic. Oh, I would love to see that. We need a Warhammer 40k anime. We really bloody do. Do you think the Warhammer Fantasy Online could be fixed without using retcon? Well, we'd have to retcon Age of Shitma, wouldn't we? So technically no. Being Norwegian, I assume you're familiar with metal. Ah, yes. Norway. The land of skiing. Religion, Christianity to be specific. And the heavy bloody metal. We are a strange people. I don't listen to much metal. I don't listen to much music in general, and I'm essentially completely and utterly inept at music. I can listen to anything if it has a decent beat, and I am honestly completely and utterly unfamiliar with Norwegian metal. I think the closest to metal I've listened to is the German band Rammstein. That's about it. 50,000 subs soon. Do I get 50,000 subs within the year? I would love to get 50,000 subs within the year. That'd be nice. 2 questions. Sorry. You have said that you are a businessman. Well, technically, yes. I sell robots and shit. Okay, private, you can tell you what kind of business it is. Machining parts for machines. I know that sounds ridiculous, but, you know, a machine is made up of stuff, and I make the stuff, and then I sell the stuff to people who are willing to assemble the machines, essentially. Don't you think it's time for Sweden to realize independence was a mistake and embrace the idea of once more groveling under Norwegian rulership in a union, under Swedish inferiority, obviously? Yes, I do think that is a fantastic timing. Sweden needs to realize that they've fucked up and they need to come to us for help. Really is about time, honestly. What do you sound like when you're not putting on a posh accent so we can understand you? What's your real voice? I don't have one, if that's what you say in English, because this is how I speak English. I'm sorry, but this is how I've been speaking English for as long as I can remember, so I don't even know if I can remember how to put on a Norwegian accent. Let's try. What's your... I can't help but put the pitch in it. Because Norwegian sounds completely different, so what's your real voice? Hva er den ekte stemmen din? It's a completely different pitch, and it's a completely different cadence, a completely different rhythm to speaking Norwegian from speaking English, and this is how I've started speaking English, so it's probably how I'm going to be continuing to speak English, I'm afraid. If you could change the Warhammer story, especially the end times, how would you change it? Just fucking remove all of it, simple, really. Yeah, just gone. Finished. Wonderful. Well, I'd keep the part of the Tomb King lore, because that was kind of fun, but the rest, yes, bye-bye. Have you ever considered doing voice work? Nope. I'm afraid not. Ow. Because I'm... the thought alone stabs me. For something like the Emperor had text... Oh, I forgot to answer that question, didn't I? I have tried to watch it, but sadly it's just not my kind of humor. It's amazing, it's fantastic work, the animations are great, but I just don't find it funny. To be honest, I find very little funny. I am an elitist cunt, I think you would put it as, so yeah, sorry. Consider doing voice work for something like the Emperor had to take a speech by... Oh, hell, if you'd ask me, I'd do it, because it'd be cool, but no, not in general, no. What are your plans for videos for until the war comes out? Will you focus on review, or maybe just play through it? I will do a playthrough. The playthrough will probably start before the review, because I don't plan on doing a review, because I don't have the competency to do a proper review. I will give you my impressions on the game, more correctly. So there will probably be a few Let's Plays episodes first, 1 or 2 probably, where I'll just talk about general stuff, show you the game in works, etc. It depends. If I get early access, then I'll do that then, and then you'll get my final thoughts on the game probably before I start the proper Let's Play. So, yes, both, essentially. Showing us your Minotaurs? No, because I can't paint. How the fuck has your day been? 4 days ago. Can't remember that far back. I think I went to raid a warehouse or something. That's actually not a joke either. Would you consider doing live streams? I'd love to, but my internet couldn't bloody handle it. I've got like 20 kilobytes of upload, if I have that much. Yes, I am the man, indeed. I checked this morning, in fact. I do have dinglies. Top 5 races. I can't be asked to number 5. Well, that's okay. This is fantasy, so it would have to be Skaven, Skaven, and Skaven. So, yeah. Who is your favourite character in Warhammer, Fantasy, Warhammer, Gage, respectively? The Emperor doesn't count. You bastard, you preempted me. For 40k, I'm torn between Horus or Sanguinius. Honestly, I'm not sure if Sanguinius is the correct pronunciation. They keep changing the bloody pronunciation of that bastard. Horus or Sanguinius, because I really like Horus before he fell to chaos. I really don't like him after he's fell. He turned into a bit of a, well, bastard. I think I'll have to go with Sanguinius on that one. And as for Warhammer Fantasy, can I go with the Emperor there? No, I can't. Damn it. Gracie Thankwall. Tankwall. Yes. Good God, why can I not speak his name? Skaven magic. Yes, the Gracie Thankwall. That would be the one. He's fantastic. Quick head taker on a close second. Why do you hate elves? Because they are bad people. Very bad people. No, I just generally don't like elf lore. My favourite elves are by 5 Warhammer elves and the 40k elves because they are flawed, which I like, but still, they're elves. They're a little bit too perfect for me, but again, if I had to marry one, it would be an Eldar, and it would be glorious. Oh, I wish I knew a good female voice act now, because I would make a video series about that. Oh god, I wish I had an animator. I can't animate for shit. Damn it! I want to make this now. Ugh. Favorite Tyranids? The old Biovores, the living artillery. I don't think they make those anymore. Those were amazing. How do you feel about 3D printers possibly being used to make bootleg tabletop models? I think 3D printers are going to fucking kill Games Workshop, and I think they're bloody panicking about it, which is why they're desperately reinventing their IPs to make as many copyrights as possible. Games Workshop will force them to lower prices. I think it will force them to lower prices, but whether or not they are willing to lower prices, yeah, I'm not sure, honestly, but when 3D printers become commonplace, which they almost certainly will within the next 5 or 6 years, as a rough estimate, yeah, Games Workshop is going to have a very large problem. They already have a very large and growing problem, so how will they respond to it? Will they lower prices? I honestly couldn't say. It's Games Workshop. Any sane company would lower prices and compete on quality, but no, this is Games Workshop, so who knows? Who would you want to be in Warhammer Fantasy? Oh god, now I'm going to have to say something stupid considering the question I just got. I'd have to be an elf, of course, because they're immortal. And they get to fuck elves. I mean, yes. 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 Specifically, I think I'd be Tyrion, the super overpowered mega I can kill entire hordes of chaos demons by my lonesome elf. It would have to be him, yes. Immortal, bangs all the bitches, and capable of taking on entire armies single-handedly. Yep, I'll take that one. If Rome 2 wasn't as bad as it was, would we have seen the massive backlash to Chaos Pre-Order DLC? I don't think so. I do not think so. If Rome 2 hadn't stood the Hornet's Nest to the degree that it did, we would still be willing to swallow some more bullshit. Because you gotta remember, Rome 2 did this as well, with cutting out the Greek factions, and there was some general, fuck you Creative Assembly, fuck you Sega nonsense, but it wasn't a proper backlash. Nothing compared to the Chaos nonsense. Oh, heavens no. So yeah, I do definitely think that if Rome 2 was an actual good game from the start and didn't need a year to fix, then yes, I do not think the Chaos Pre-Order backlash would have been nearly as bad. For my part, it would have been equally bad, because I consider the practice itself to be bonkers, batshit retarded, and downright damaging, but hey. Would you consider yourself religious? No, probably not. I'm technically a Christian, because all Norwegians are technically Christians when they're born, but I'm not religious in any real way. I'd like to think there is some kind of god entity, simply because it would be really nice to be able to blame someone when bad shit happens. But no, I'd probably say no. Only one bullet, you see a Swede and a Dane. Oh, Jesus, that one's impossible. Shoot the Swede or the Dane? Well, the Danish like kissing our ass a lot, so I'd have to shoot the Swede, wouldn't I? Yeah, probably. The Danes would be easier to subjugate, anyways. Yeah, it had to be the Swede. He's a resistant bastard, I don't know. Will you Twitch stream? No, my internet can't handle it, otherwise I would. Can you make a video when you speak some Norwegian? Not a chance in fucking hell, beyond what I've already done, of course. You mentioned the term waifu. Yes, I did, didn't I? Isn't it horrible? That it's a ridiculous concept in Europe or something like similar. So the obvious question is, what comes to mind is, which one is your waifu, or do you have a top 5, even or something? Have you already drowned yourself in life-size human pillows? Oh, I would love to. Would that not be fantastic? Life-size pillows. Dakimakuras. I know someone who owns the Dakimakura. I fucking adore the concept. I really do. It's just like, it's a life-size hugging pillow. It's beautiful. It really is. I would never own one because I can only envision one usage for a hugging pillow, and no, I don't want to go into that here. But yes, the concept of waifu is somewhat insane because you're essentially just, you desperately want to bang a 2D character, and I can see the appeal. Good God, I can see the appeal. I mean, shit. I would say I myself have a waifu. I know it's ridiculous, but I'd say I have one. Maya from Movlov series. I absolutely adore that character. She would be my top waifu. Yes, without the faintest question. Guaranteed. Mitsurugi Maya. Without a shadow of a doubt. Top 5? I don't think I have advanced that far. Let's see if I can come up with a second place. Second place. That's a hard one. There are a lot of good ones too, but you know what? I think I'd have to go with Kan-u Unsho from Ikki Tosen, which is a notorious pervy anime. One of the first animes I watched when I didn't have a faintest clue what anime was, and I was like 13, so you can imagine a panty-shot anime like that for my 13-year-old self was like, oh my god, panties, yes! Not a proud moment in my life. Because she's not much of a character, unlike Mitsurugi Maya, but good God was she hot. Good heavens, yes. So yes, that would have to be my second one. A third... Damn. Not at the top of my head, no, I couldn't. I'm sure if given time... Actually, you know what? Horo, or Horu, or whichever translation you prefer, from Spice and Wolves. She was fantastic, and I have a general fetish for nekomimis and that kind of stuff. I just find that so irresistible, fluffy, and adorable. Oh, I adore it, but yeah. I think 3 is about as much as I can get, honestly. So, before I judge myself even further in the eyes of my surprisingly large, apparently, feminist audience, let's move on further. How much cheese do Tau bring to the table? Well, this is a very simple question. All of the cheese. Every last tiny iota of it. With Warhammer seemingly, especially 40k, having a pretty horrid history concerning implementation as video games, assuming you've played them due to... Oh, it's not a horrible history. It's most of them have actually been relatively good, I say. As a favourite... You know, I'd have to say Rights of War, the really, really old game where you played as the Eldar primarily. It was a somewhat dodgy game, I will admit, but I absolutely loved it at the time. Second place would have to go to Dawn of War 1. I know that sounds sacrosanct, like Rights of War was a terrible game, Dawn of War was much better. And yes, it was, but I loved Rights of War, so that's why it's my first one. What was the best final point ultimate list? Oh, I'm not going to give you an entire list here, go away. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. This is already going to be a very long video. Written question, would like to ask another, will you be doing any modded dominions for gameplay? And if so, what mods do you think you will also do? Probably not, because Dominions 4 takes a very long time to play. So, probably not. What is your day job, and where do you live? Descended from Norwegian. Well, I've answered the first one. Yes, I'm a Norwegian for about as far back as it comes. Or, isn't Norwegian said living in the UK? Oh, I'm not living in the UK, I'm from Norway. I am living in Norway, and yes, I'm Norwegian for about as far back as I get, if I understood the question right anyways. Pharaohs. Leave to see Guy Haley hit the ground running, and as a bit of a spoiler minefield, but given the chance, blah blah blah. Developer advice. What? I'm confused. Just finish up Pharaohs. Relieved to see Guy Haley, which is an author, hit the ground running. I know it's a bit of a spoiler minefield, but given the chance with Pharaohs? Horus Heresy characters? Huh? I am very confused now. I might just be reading this wrong and everybody else understands the question. I'm assuming this is a Horus Heresy character faction. Just finish up Pharaohs. Is that a book in the Horus Heresy series? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to Google this now. I've read pretty much all the books, I just don't have all of the names in my head, sadly. Horus. Pharaohs. Oh, it's one of the short, is it? Yes, I haven't read that one, I do believe. The Horror Society Fire is an ebook exclusive novel. Yes, I have not read that one. I wasn't even aware that was out. So yes, I've failed my duties there. I'll probably have to buy that later on, because I do like ebooks. I do have a Kindle, and I absolutely adore my little Kindle, so I can't ask that one, sorry. Okay, carrying on, I have a question for you, Art. Have you considered Patreon? Well, I suppose yes, but, well, I only have 20,000 subscribers at the moment, and don't really think you should be building a sub-base on Patreon. Rather, the Patreon should be an option offered when you have a solid sub-base. There should be benefits to being a Patreon. You know, there should be there shouldn't be ad views on certain episodes and stuff like that. You know, stuff. And I just don't know enough about YouTube and the way it works and the revenue income, all of that kind of nonsense to really make an informed decision about that at the moment. I mean, I would much prefer to run Patreon over YouTube's ad system, because everybody does ads. Nobody likes ads, and ad companies seems determined to keep making them worse. So, yeah, I would certainly consider it, but not this moment. It would be an experiment, I suppose, because at the moment it is almost vaguely looking like I might even be able to make a living off this nonsense at some point in the not-too-distant future, which is a very tempting prospect, naturally, so I'll look into it, certainly. Okay, what is your day job? I have answered this one, so again, refer to the previous one. If the stalemate for the game, what race or races do you think have the best shot at surviving, and why? Well, it's got to be the Imperium, simply because they are by far the largest. They are the ones with the most manpower, the ones with the most resources available, the most soldiers available as such. They've probably got the best chance, but it kind of varies on several different factors. For example, if the Necron managed to awaken all of the their godlike creatures, the Shitans, I believe, yeah, they're probably going to win then. If the Emperor turns out to be, well, when he dies, he turns out to be a proper god, and he actually becomes a real god, then, yeah, they might win. And a ton of different questions, but I'd probably bank on the Imperium just because they have the most stuff. When you think you'll get to the Primus, what? I haven't the faintest. Get to the Primus. The Primus, as in competition? The Primarchs? I'm not entirely sure what this means, I'm afraid. Really looked at the videos. My question is, how did you learn to speak English that well? Well is a subjective term, it would appear. Television. Lots and lots of television. That's pretty much how I learned to speak English. What's your rank in the robotics company you work for? Like, what's your main job there? Well, we're a relatively small company, so we don't really have positions, in all due honesty. I do whatever is required of me, be it maintaining the network, being it selling robots, being it programming the robots, checking over the robots, delivering the robots, customer contact, etc. We're too small to really have clearly defined positions, so to say, so I can't really answer that one exactly. What is your least favorite Warhammer Fantasy army? Least favorite? I wonder if that's, like, from... I'm getting a guess that's from, you know, an entire perspective, aesthetics, playstyle, etc. From playstyle, I'd say Dwarfs, because as a Skaven, I fucking hate the stunty little bastards, but they do have fantastic lore lines. The book series for them, the Time of Legends book series for the War of the Bears is so good, I love that series. I'm rereading it now, actually, it's really good. So not the dwarves. Least favorite. That's a hard one. I'd probably have to land on Chaos. Because I feel like they just lack some of the subtlety and some of the nuance that the other races do. I really love the story for the Warp itself, the Chaos itself. The Liber Chaotica is one of my favorite books, but just Chaos as a faction feels a little bit flat to me because, you know, they're just kind of, you know, evil. They just want to destroy the world. Their backstory is fantastic, but their motivation just leaves a little bit to be wanting. And that's saying something, that their backstory is fantastic, their mortals are gorgeous, and their playstyle is actually pretty cool, but, you know, they're slightly less interesting to me than the others, so, yeah. How is life in your country? Fucking cold. Very, very cold. Issues. Our government are idiots. That's pretty much the biggest the biggest problem. They have decided that all industry in this country should be murdered with a hockey stick, so that's good. Our celebrations. Happy things happening in my country. We found oil a while ago. That's been going pretty damn well for us, so I guess that. Do you prefer boiled eggs or scrambled eggs? I prefer not eating eggs at all. Eggs are terrible, and they are Satan's own little anus squeezers, and that is bad. So I don't eat eggs, because eggs are horrible. Oh Jesus, a long one. Holy shit. Okay. I'm starting to regretting the whole I'm going to answer every question now once I've crossed the hour mark. So far, with the information been given total lore, have you noticed any limitations with both the lore and the game mechanics? For example, do you fear Orc Wogmate might just be dwarf loyalty, copy and paste as I do? Well, obviously it is. Yeah. Well, it is the same bloody thing, isn't it? Except that the one spawns an army and the other one, I bloody hope, doesn't spawn an army, so yeah. Defending borders. The tricky circumstance forced to Untitled. Well, we won't now anymore because we know that in certain directions we can't expand, so the whole tricky border dispute isn't really going to be much of an issue, isn't it? Global recruitment is a thing, so initially when I thought of a dwarf command might play, trundling deep into Ember territory, thought not having the base operating flow would make it very difficult to do. Now done globally, it has a much welcomed layer of strategy to the game. You must decide to take more time to recruit from further away for the fight. Recruit elsewhere for defenses. I do kind of like it. Incidentally, it only really replaces the fact that you built a unit automatically in your capital, like the old system where you built a unit somewhere and then it rallied to your army. It's much the same thing, except it doesn't do it on the map, which is a relief, because that system was kind of ridiculous and somewhat annoying, so I do kind of like that. Especially seeing as the cost for it seems to make up for the advantages of it. And it's only natural, like, armies draw reinforcements and extra troops from their mainland. They don't have to go back home and reinforce if necessarily. They might choose to, in some cases they might have to, but that is not what they always have to. Reinforcements can be brought up to the army instead of vice versa. Campaign into enemy territory has much greater implications than it did before. Why are you going there? Is there something to be gained? Quest battle maps in the middle of the Empire's Orcs. Level of total war we have never seen before because you will have an objective, mini objectives compared to the campaign in mind and reward at the end. You know, I don't know how it works out, that's the thing. All I've seen so far is the limitation to conquest, which is something I absolutely despise, so will it add more of a storyline? I don't know. It might. I can see the potential for it, but I can't say anything for certain at this point. All I can say is I hope it will be, but I'm very skeptical with the system they've introduced. What is your favourite race for Warhammer and 40k? Least favourite race? Well, I have already answered this one, so fine. What do you think of the series of the Emperor text-speech device? Yes, I answered this one too. Like I said, his production quality is fantastic. It's beautifully animated. It's well done. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just flat out isn't my humour because, like I said, arrogant cunt. I don't find a whole lot of stuff funny. The old TV series Titus I found funny. That is a brilliant series, by the way. Everybody should watch that. It's really, really, really good. And the relatively recent British movie The Guard was also just fantastic to me. I loved that one. But yeah, my sense of humour is terrible. Who is your favourite Warhammer fantasy character? Fantasy character. Didn't I say this one as well? Yes, Gracie Thanquil, that was it. So yes, Thanquil. Thanquil! Jesus Christ, what is wrong with me? What is your opinion on the new Necron lore? I don't know, like my there's a few things like from him. Low-ranking Necrons still as monsters that everyone loves. The high-ranking Necrons think for themselves. Actually, I kind of like the new Necron lore. I think they went a little bit heavy on the Egyptian, granted, but I kind of like it. What irks me the most is that they've kind of just done Tomb Kings in space, which, yeah, I didn't like that too much, but all in all, it's not terrible by Matt Ward's standard. It's goddamn fantastic, so that's something. But yeah, but it could have been the Grey Knights. Yes, it could have been, so yeah, much improved, certainly. Video capture software use. Ooh, I use quite a few. I think DX Tori is the one I primarily use. because it seems to be best at capturing a steady frame rate. I used to use open broadcasting software, which is primarily a streaming service, but I really like the way it doesn't use a whole lot of space. It compresses the video as it goes, and so the videos are like only a few gigabytes instead of hundreds of gigabytes that you get with DxTory, but I had a lot of real frame rates problem with that. It was just wild fluctuations and video tearing, so I didn't like them. Are there any other fantasy worlds in which you are greatly keen on their lore? Would see lots of such Middle-earth or anything like that? Honestly, I don't know that much of them. Like, in Middle-earth's lore, what I know about it is it's relatively shallow. However, Games Workshop have done a fantastic job of expanding upon it over their course of making miniatures. And there's a lot of, lore tidbits and stuff just hidden away in the books. They're really, really cool books because of that, because there's little tidbits of information here and there that you could really draw conclusions from, and logical, conclusion. You can draw logical... Excuse me, I've completely wandered off my world there. You can build a world out of the hints you are given, which is really, really, really cool. But would I do videos on them? Like I said, I'm not sure. I don't know enough about them, honestly. Maybe, if Total War decides to go to the Middle-earth, then definitely I'd do that. If we got a big strategy game a la Dawn of War set in Star Wars universe, I'd definitely do something about that, for example. But just by itself, not entirely sure, no. Okay, 2 questions for you, one about CA, one about D&D. Will CA change their engine for upcoming titles? Ooh, that's a hard one. Is it a good move for CA to sell out from Sega, if that is possible? I doubt it. I really doubt it. That if they do, they get more time to work on products and all of the profits from the sales. I really, really doubt that they would do that, because it would require them to buy themselves from Sega, and Sega is unlikely to want to see them go, since they are earning quite a profit for them. So, it's possible, but I doubt it. Additionally, Sega is a good thing because it is capable of giving them considerably larger funds than they might be able to raise on their own. Of course, whether or not they'll use those funds wisely is the question, so I don't know. I doubt they will anyways. As for engine, I desperately hope they're going to change the engine soon, because the current one has some pretty major limitations. The fact that they didn't change it for Warhammer is fine, because we all knew it was coming. Attila was essentially just a teaser for Warhammer when it came to graphics nonsense, so... For the next historical, though, it depends. Could they squeeze one more game out of the current engine? Yes, probably. Should they? No. I would say no, they shouldn't. And especially if they want to do something a little bit more interesting, like, for example, a Victorian Total War, or some Empire Total War, something like that, with guns, something a little bit new, I'd say they're probably going to need a new engine. The problem is, of course, a new engine means new problems, so it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Do you play D&D? Why not? I used to play D&D, but it's been a very long time since I played D&D. I know you're Norwegian, so if you live in Oslo, you're welcome to join our group if you don't have one. I don't live in Oslo, no, sadly. I live quite a distance from it. Not a terrible difference, 2 hours or so, an hour and a half by car, roundabouts. So I live a distance away, and I couldn't possibly justify driving for 2 hours to attend a D&D session, I'm afraid. Otherwise, thank you for the offer, certainly. Will you please play more Medieval 2 Total War, preferably Call of Warhammer 1.6? I am not going to play 1.6 because it's in Russian, so that's a problem. More Medieval 2 Total War? I would kind of want to. I'd probably play Stainless Steel, because that is a goddamn amazing mod. It really is a very good mod, and it says something about the author of just how far shit has fallen. But yes, probably, at some point, certainly. Right now, I'm essentially just waiting for Total War Warhammer to see what happens. It's only a relatively few months away, assuming they don't delay it, which they could, of course, but, for the moment, I'm going to hold off until that and see what happens. If it's absolute dog turd, maybe I'll just do a very short Let's Play of it and then join over to Medieval 2, and then perhaps go back to Total War Warhammer later? Not another show. What is your day job? Answer that. What part of Norway do you come from? Ringerike, more precisely Hønefoss. Great idea, this Q&A. What do you think about Matt Ward? Matt Ward is the 5th Chaos God. I can't go into him here because that would be quite the rant. But yes, he has pretty much done nothing good for the Warhammer scene. He has been virtually entirely a source of destruction. He is literally the reason why they stopped giving author credit in army books. That's how bad he was. The sheer outrage when somebody learned that Matt Ward had written an army book just flat out made Games Workshop stop writing it. Like, that is some classic nonsense right there. It's like, I have recently brought up the example of Sweden stopping to they stopped compiling and releasing the information upon the ethnicity of people who commit rapes because, you know, it might be racist. The data might be racist. Well, this is the exact same thing that happened with Games Workshop. Matt Ward became so deeply hated by the entire community that they had to stop writing his names in the books, and they chose to do that rather than fucking fire him. It boggles the bloody mind, but hey. To which Chaos God would you sacrifice your flesh and soul? Well, Nurgle is tempting because of the whole immortality thing, but the whole rotting thing doesn't seem like a good idea. Tzeentch seems like a decent idea, but being constantly mutated and turned inside out also sounds a little bit unpleasant. Khorne, the whole blood for the blood god thing, that seems a bit violent. So it'd have to be Slaanesh, wouldn't it? My personal favourite is Tzeentch, but if we're talking about devotion here, I'd like to go for the god of sex and excess, if you don't mind. At least it'll be fun in the short term, until I have to start raping people. That'll be awkward, but hey. We all do what we have to do in the service of the god of, well, all horrible things that has to do with pleasure. Not really much of a question, it's more of a comment. I can't put it gently. Oh, this is going to be fun. Oh, yes, so fucking awesome. Okay, well, I was expecting something more horrible there, but yes, fine. Thank you very much. Rage videos, yes, I do make a few of those, don't I? Mostly because I'm just disappointed by some nonsense. Don't really want to do it, but, you know. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do. Kettle corn. What the fuck is kettle corn? Ugh, sounds horrible. How old are you? Too old. Moving on. If you were told to either fuck Nurgle or die, would you do it? I think fucking Nurgle would kill you regardless, and it would be a very slow and painful death. So if the alternative is a quick one, I'd take that one. What do you think of the Total War Warhammer units roster in comparison to the units rosters of Call of Warhammer? Call of Warhammer is infinitely superior. There's really no comparison between the two, so yeah, there's that. But then again, Call of Warhammer has been in development for quite a while longer, though of course it has also been in development for quite a while longer by a much smaller team, so, you know, goes both ways. Said I love your videos. Yes, thank you very much. Are there potential legendary hero characters for the Border Princes Telium? Not really, but they do have some regiments of renown, if I don't remember entirely incorrectly, so yes, they could certainly make some up, and I do believe there are a few mentions of Border Princes, I'd like the actual title of Border Princes, in the lore that could certainly kind of work as legendary lords, so yes, it's not impossible, certainly. As for the possibility of them being playable, is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? I wouldn't think so, no. Where does your soul lie? I'd say right above the colon, roughly speaking. Will you play Warhammer at launch and make gameplay videos? Oh, definitely, and hopefully Creative Assembly will not have noticed the videos I've been making and will send me a early access copy, which they were talking about, which would be fantastic, because then I could make some proper gameplay videos on it and actually inform people, which would be nice. Will you record some PvP Mordheim for us? That's not a terrible idea. I guess I might have a go at that. Should probably get a hold of my friend to play some PvP with, so yeah, possibly. A more serious question, what if Total Warhammer fails to live up to expectations? Oh, it's going to fail to live up to expectations. That's not really the question, it's just my expectations are far too high. I have been repeatedly reminded by my PR and marketing department. Will you continue to deliver more lore videos, or would this one cause you to go silent for time? Well, without disclosing numbers, I have actually been getting a fair amount of cash from doing this, and it's actually kind of looking like I might actually be able to make a living off this nonsense in the not-too-distant future, so do not worry, there will be lore videos, regardless of whether or not Total War Warhammer is the shit. Worst case scenario, it's absolute dog shit. I make my angry, disappointed video about it, and then we wait, and we hope that, like Rome 2, it will be patched, it will be modded, and it will become a good game. So, yeah, we can hope. And hell, there's always Relic and Dawn of War 3 that will come out at some point in the next decade or so hope is always there. Will you play some Dawn of War 2? Don't know. Unlikely, I suppose? I don't know. I've already played the campaign. I guess I could play the campaign. I mean, sure, maybe. Don't really know if there's interest in it. You never know until you've actually uploaded a video and see the views on it, but perhaps at some point, certainly. Perhaps I could get a collab on it with someone. That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? Playing on maximum difficulty with someone. That could be interesting. So, Arch, what first got you into Warhammer the Glorious Skaven under Empire? Wandering into a toy store as a child, picking up a box of hobgoblins and not having the faintest idea what it was, but they looked cool, so that's pretty much it. As for the Skaven, well, after realizing my mistake of going from Chaos Dwarfs to Wood Elves, and then I went to Skaven. Basically because I just kind of dumped across them and I started reading some of their lore. I got their army book, because at that point I was really intrigued by the Warhammer universe from having read the Chaos Dwarfs, so I was just out looking for army books, and at this point I didn't know this was even a game. I was like 9 or 8 or something. I didn't have any idea what this was. I was going to my local toy store where they sold codexes. Not all of them, just a few of them, and they came in just really occasionally, like a random Wood Elf codex. That's why the second one was Wood Elves. And then after that came the Skavens, and after that, well, I fell in love with the furry little bastards, and I haven't looked back since. Stolabin. No, that is my name. We have strange ways of spelling things in our place. So yes, it doesn't want to change it to Arch Warhammer. For some reason I've tried, but I can't. So no, that is just my name. 40k question. What's better, Imperial Knight or Dreadnought of the Astartes? Well, battle experience, a Dreadnought certainly beats the Knight, but weaponry, the Knight has access to some pretty nasty stuff, so I think it would boil down to, if melee, Dreadnought. If ranged and maneuver warfare, Imperial Knight, although that's pure speculation, honestly. Why do you hate everything? Because everything is shit, essentially. Probably because he lives in a frozen hell surrounded by bears. Yes, that is also a pretty good reason, particularly during this fucking time of year. Good God, I hate this time of year. Thank God I don't have work today, so I can stay inside and make this nonsense video instead of having to go outside into the fucking 25 degrees below and freeze my nuts off. The sheer nightmare it is to just walk out to the garage. Oh, good God, I hate this place. I love my country, but fuck, I hate the seasons over here. Goes from 25 degrees minus to 40 plus in the summer. This is a horrible place to live as a human. Don't ever show your face. Well, fuck you too, son. Don't ever show your face. Oh, what an absolute bitch you are. How long will it take you to make a 50-minute video? Well, a Let's Play video, it'll take me 50 minutes. A lore video, it'll take me fucking days. All of the research, all of the scripting, all of the speaking, all of the constant editing, because I say something wrong. I mean, this is completely unedited, so you can notice just how fucking often I stumble over my words and do random nonsense and wander off on completely ridiculous rants. Like, if you think I rant a lot in my current lore videos, oh, you should see what I don't include. So yes. Editing is fairly straightforward. In fact, what I usually do with the long videos, where I know I need pictures to show different things, I load up World of Warships and I start playing World of Warships, and I keep alt-tabbing in and out when I can listen to it. I'm listening to myself while I'm doing this, and I go like, oh, here I need a picture, alt-tab out, mark the locations. If no one's shooting at me, I quickly switch it around, load into World of Warships, fire back, la 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 la. And it's actually a really nice process, because it makes it feel a lot shorter, because, you know, I'm playing a game while I'm listening to myself ramble on, and I've started to have a rather uncomfortable fetish for my own voice, I must admit. I imagine this is the point where everybody just wrinkles their nose and goes like, you listen to your own music? Manner of bitch are you? I completely agree. It's a disease. I'm ashamed about it myself. So yes, 15-minute video, 6-7 hours from start to end. My Tau video is probably the one that took me the longest, because I didn't know that much about the Tau, so I had to research quite a lot while it was going on, and Games Workshop had released a ton of new stuff since last time I'd watched them, which is why I decided to entirely skip over the battlesuits and do a separate video on those, because I hadn't even seen the vast majority of those, so that was required quite a lot of research, so 8 to 9 hours, perhaps. If you start start working and just keep working, something along those lines, because it varies entirely on how much I know about the subject, how much I have to research, how many takes I need to get it to sound kind of okay, etc, 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 how many pictures I need to edit in, blah 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 blah. So, rough estimate, 7 to 8, 9 hours, something like that. List factions of pre-end times Warhammer Fab List. This is a must. No, go away. I've told you my tops. I can't do all of them. This video is already pushing several hours. Well, several hours is probably probably an exaggeration, but yes, answering every one of these questions. I'd expected maybe 100 question tops. This is a little bit more than what I'd expected, but I'll go through with it. Who, in your opinion, is the best Chaos God? Well, Tzeentch, of course, because he changes things completely random and he plans everything. He's the ultimate manipulator, which I find quite charming. How does your face look? Bearded, essentially. And do you prepare your lore videos, or do you just start recording and say what comes into your mind? No, I do prepare them a fair bit. I do occasionally just go off on rants on particular topics when the mood hits me, but I usually do write a script and plan out what I'm going to say, so no, they're not entirely off the topic. Some are. My nightly order videos, for example, those are very, very short pieces of lore, and so to make them interesting, and, you know, make them feel live and conversational, those I usually just pick out some, common denominators, some pointers, and then I just rant about them for a while, and I find that to be a more amusing way to do it than make a 3-minute lore video where I just literally read from the wiki. Now, I might be completely wrong about that, but hey. Nevertheless, that's how I do it. What kind of music do you listen to? Pretty much anything. Like, I am completely and utterly incompetent when it comes to music. I have no real taste. I can listen to pretty much anything with the exception of so-called gangster rap music, which I consider to be an absolute fucking abomination. Mostly because I adore rap music. Good rap music. Good rap music is like poetry, and I fucking adore it. Good rappers like Hobson, for example, on YouTube. He's fantastic. Eminem recently, and, you know, that one record we don't talk about, I quite like. Macklemore, I really like, despite the fact that his political opinions are so far beyond batshit that they're almost a teeny weeny bit scary, but hey, I mean, the bastard's actually bought into the idea of cultural appropriation, you know, as if rap culture is a set amount. Like, if you're black, you own 6 pounds of rap culture, and if someone else that is white starts rapping, well, he just fucking steals 2 pounds of rap culture, doesn't he? That's unfair, isn't it? It's ridiculous. It's like saying that somebody is stealing my Norwegian culture because some people in America wear fucking lusekofter. Ridiculous, honestly is. But yeah, I can listen to pretty much anything, and I have. As long as it has a decent beat, I listen to it. Some of my favourites is Norwegian rap bands. I really like Norwegian rap. I used to love Carpe Diem, Seize the Day. I absolutely love them. Their latest record I didn't like at all. They've always been a very political band, but I feel like they've gone over the deep end with their politics, which I've never agreed with entirely, but... So yeah, I'm not a massive fan of that anymore, but I used to like them a lot, and other rap music I really like Hobson, I adore him, he's a fantastic rapper. As for other music, I like Rammstein, the German, I suppose you could say metal band, although metalheads would call me a complete crazy moron for calling them metal, I'm assuming, as they're relatively soft, I guess. But yes, rock music in general, that kind of stuff, I quite like. Rap music, I really like. Pop music, love it and hate it, I suppose, so... Considering I don't really have any preference, that's a very complicated question, but yeah, I hope I've answered it somewhat at least. Will there be more Warhammer fantasy lore videos in the future? No, I've completely stopped with that. No, don't worry, I'll keep it up. I've got quite a lot more to cover. I was hoping to do a 50-50, like 1 week I do 40k, 1 week I do Warhammer, but occasionally I find myself a topic, like Tau and then Tau battlesuits or Titans and the various types of Titans, weapons, etc., and then I just go with that for a while. If you had to write the end times of Warhammer 4K, how would you have it go down? If I had to write Warhammer 40k universe to die, honestly, I'd probably have to go with the Tyranids eating everything, because it is the only thing that would even kind of remotely make sense. The Tyranid turns out to really be this galaxy-eating entity. They show up and they're literally covering practically the entire southern borders of the Milky Way galaxy. They are just virtually a solid wall of unending Tyranids. And then it would be a long book series about the heroic fight against the Tyranids, but it would be futile. It would end up with a massive apocalyptic conflict between the Tyranids and the Necrons, and who would win that? Well, nobody. It would be a scorched and blasted wasteland on both sides. That would pretty much be it. That is the only way I could think it might possibly maybe go down, if you have to end the world, because I don't see the Empire winning anytime soon. Surviving, possibly. Winning, probably not. And like you said, if the end times have to happen, if the universe have to, go away, then Necrons and Tyranids beating each other to death over the blasted wasteland that is the 40k universe is pretty much the only reason I could see that would make kind of sense, and even then it would be really horrible, but hey. Have you built a shrine for almighty Bridge God? Sadly I have not. It requires materials and experience that I sadly do not have. Which country do you think is most likely to cause World War III? Ooh, that's a loaded question. Well, America has a nasty habit of invading random countries, but they don't like invading Western countries. They like mostly picking on, Muslim countries and people that they feel have insulted them, or if they have oil, so I don't see them starting World War III, especially not now that they've gotten kind of sick of the whole fighting nonsense. I don't think China's ever going to be doing it, because they know they're kind of in a shitty position, because they can't really go anywhere. They would essentially just end up embargoed, surrounded, and put in a really, really bad position for pretty much however long the war would last. They could put up a fight, and probably there wouldn't be a fight. They would simply just be surrounded and blockaded until, it ended. Maybe they could probably attack India, I suppose, and maybe they would even win, but the Kashmir Mountains, is it the Kashmir Mountains? I just pulled that right out of my ass now because it sounded right, sorry. But that is not particularly hospitable terrain to fight over, so I would imagine the Indian army would actually might be perhaps capable of holding it, I don't know. I doubt they would do it anyway, because there's just no gain for them in it. I wouldn't see any reason. I don't think any European country is going to be starting World War III anytime soon. Now, it's a cliche, but if we're going to have to go with a single country instead of a religion or anything, I'd probably have to go with Russia. Simply because Russia has had a long history of being fairly ignorant of the world around them, purposefully ignorant. And it would appear that they are returning to that period of time now, where they're kind of just shutting themselves into their country and, yelling about, oh, we're surrounded by NATO, NATO wants to invade us, and blah, 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 blah. There's a beautiful little website called The Global Researcher, which is a wonderful comedy site, which is just filled with all the crazy proper Russian propaganda. Like, they've been writing articles on how NATO has been planning to invade Russia for the last 10 years. NATO still hasn't done it for some mysterious reason. I don't know. It's not like there's any reasons why they wouldn't want to start World War III or anything, is there? I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous, but if anyone were to start it, it would have to be a country that got a radical government. The only one I can see getting a radical government in the current political landscape that could possibly, just start randomly attacking neighbors to the point of World War III is probably Russia. I see no reason why China would do it. They're already essentially a dictatorship, so they can't really get that much further. India attacking Kashmir, setting up some kind of nuclear war, bringing in other parties? Maybe? I doubt it. Not a World War III level conflict. Yeah. Currently, as cliche as it is, if it has to be a country, then yes, I'd say Russia. Did you take a look at the game Battlefleet Gothic Armada? I did. I have applied for access to the game, review access to it, and hopefully some kind of beta access, and if I do get it, I will definitely talk about it. I could do lore videos on Battlefleet Gothic itself and the ships, but I kind of want to wait for the actual game, because I was told by one of the devs that they have a very nice ship viewer in-game, which I would really like to use to make lore videos about it. I would love to make lore videos on the various ships with gameplay from the game, along with a little bit of artwork here and there, for example. That'd be really cool, because there's not that much artwork around ships, essentially, so I'd love to have some gameplay to show off. Will you ever play a game of Warhammer 40k on camera? Unlikely, but I'll never say never. It's official that you can't raise and then resettle a non-nemesis faction in Total War. Indeed. How boring do you think the game will become? I think it will be a 1v1 map. I'm actually afraid it's going to be that as well. Mostly because of the railroady nature of the current look of the map, especially for the orcs or dwarves. I really don't see how that is going to be fostering any kind of replayability to be playing as those two factions, especially as the dwarves. It's like, if you want to remain perfectly true to the lore, then the dwarves are unlikely to just attack the Empire because of reasons. There would have to be some kind of trigger, some kind of grudgement or something, so some kind of event, perhaps. There could be plenty of those events. You could certainly make a reason for attacking the Empire, but, if you're not going to do that, because, well, you can't conquer any of it, which is kind of ridiculous, and dwarves just burning and pillaging Empire settlements seems kind of ridiculous, that would have to be a serious grudge. Like, you gotta remember, during the War of the Beards, where the dwarves did raise, pillage, and just slaughter the high elf population of what was then the Old World, that was after 8 years of grudge making. That is how long it took to drive the dwarves to that point of total war. So, yeah. It just seems extremely restrictive. Maybe it isn't. Maybe we've all just completely overlooked something, but from where I'm sitting on my ample posterior, yeah, it looks pretty boring. Will you ever visit the US? Never say never, I suppose. Where would you go if you did? Haven't the faintest. Probably Texas, because I actually know of someone who lives there. Maybe I'll go and shit on Angry Joe's doorstep, just for shits. Maybe I can try and get on the news that way. It'll help my YouTube career if I just wander over to his house or something. It'll probably work. Doesn't he live in Texas? Does he live in Texas? Probably doesn't live in Texas now that I think about it. I haven't the faintest on. I heard he lives in Texas somewhere. Where the hell did I even hear that from? Why am I even talking about this? I haven't the faintest. But yes, maybe. And if you have, would you come back? Well, I haven't the faintest... Oh, right, you're asking me if I have been to the United States. Okay, yeah. No, I haven't. I'm Norwegian, which means that I think that the United States is a crazy gun-riddled state full of crazy people that constantly shoot each other. Like, just... People walk out of their house in the morning and are immediately shot, and it's just normal, like, Billy, you son of a bitch, why did you shoot me in the leg today? Bang, 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 and he shoots back. I know it's not like that, it's just, here in Norway, where, until recently, even the police didn't wear weapons, and even now they are only allowed to wear these shitty-ass pistols. Yeah, the idea of your gun laws are just baffling to my mind, honestly. But yeah, I'd love to visit at some point, I just don't know when. How old are you? Go fuck yourself. That's how old I am. I'm old enough to not want anyone to know how old I am, that's pretty much it. After you are done with the stinky wood things, will we see you lead the Skaven Hunter Empire to glory and Dumb 4? So will I play the Skaven mod? Unlikely. Because... they're broken. They're super overpowered in the version I played, which made them... They weren't even fun to play, because they were just so goddamn broken. The combinations of stuff you could do with them, you could have infinite death gems and all kinds of stuff, they were proper broken. What's your opinion on the 40k Iron Sharks and the Lamenters? Oh, that one's... I actually kind of like the Lamenters. I kind of do. The Sharks... less so, but the Lamenters, well, they're kind of a ridiculous chapter, but I mean, they're cool enough, I don't mind them, and the Iron Sharks, well, yeah, that's pretty much my opinion on those. Personally, I prefer the Carcadons, or whatever they were called, the ones that just apply the depth of space at sublight speed, just hunting for random Xenos and stuff, and just ambush and murder them. I love those guys, they're insane! So those are good. What do you think about Lord of the Rings? Just curious. Lord of the Rings is a fantastic series of books. Really, really good series of books. They're not quite the literary masterpieces they've been made out to be, necessarily, but they're damn good books, certainly. And the lore is pretty damn cool. It has a very expansive lore storyline, and its setting is interesting. I must admit, I haven't read the Silmarillion entirely. I tried, but it tried to bore me to death. Very, very hard. I literally felt my heart slowing down. I had to stop or I would have died, so that was that. So, the Silmarillion is a slog, let's just say, but the Lord of the Rings books themselves are really good. Hell, even the movies are decent, so it has to be kind of good, doesn't it? Which is your favourite sci-fi universe? This is a silly question. Can't either be any one that exists. Origin picked between 40k, Star Wars, Star Trek, not one to live in, but most interesting one, and why? Well, Warhammer 40k, obviously, but second one... yeah. Star Trek, probably, honestly. Star Wars is a somewhat nonsensical universe to me, especially with the new movie making it even more nonsensical. And some of the books, what are they called? The continued saga, continued expanded universe. Is that the ones? I think that might have been all pretty damn good, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Star Trek just barely. And I can't really give that much of a reason why, except the fact that humans are apparently peace-loving people in that universe, which I find to be absolutely fascinating, because I have a hard time imagining a future where we humans will be the ambassadors of peace, but hey, we can all hope. Will you play any of the Total War games, Dawn of War, Space Marine, Warhammer, Marqueus, any of the types of games? Not sure, maybe, maybe not. Yeah. I don't really plan that far ahead, sadly. Where are you from? Norway. Are you an expert in Lord of the Rings lore? Not at all. Can you make a video with a brief outline of all factions in Warhammer? I think I went over this briefly in a very early video, but yeah, not really. I mean, if you just want to know the factions, look through my playlist and you'll see all of the factions there listed up, well, somewhat in order, I suppose. Do you plan to do possible Warhammer Total War Kislev army video? Not really, because their army list is somewhat unofficial, to say the absolute least. If there is an army in Total Warhammer that might be playable in custom battle or something, then yes, probably I'll do something along those lines, because I could make some gameplay footage out of it and stuff like that. Would wish there to be a Skaven faction or something along the lines of Skaven in 40k. Seems like there's ample opportunity for this to be a thing. If there used to be, in the really, really old fluff, there was some kind of space rat nonsense. There weren't even space dwarves that were retconned relatively recently. But they would be cool, but I'm not entirely sure how they would be implemented, so I don't know. Have you considered making any versus type videos? Not really, because I would be incredibly biased. Really, from two universes, two things from the same universe that are not faced each other. The thing is, I would almost always come down on the side of 40k. Pretty much always, because 40k is an incredibly overpowered universe, essentially. So they would be very, very biased, I fear. So no, I haven't really given it any thoughts, no. Why are Norwegians so much better than Swedish people? You know, I think it's just the fact that we have a harsher environment, that we have more money, that we're better looking, certainly. I mean, good God, we are so much better looking, it's not even funny. It's really quite unfair when you think about it. And, I mean, we're just better. We work harder, we make better food, we make better movies, we're better at sailing, we're better at skiing. Oh my God, do we absolutely trudge, you poor bastard, at skiing. Oh, I do love questions like this. I do love the relationship that Norway, Sweden, and Denmark have. So that kind of informal brotherly spirit. I adore that. I really do. It's wonderful. Our three countries have been killing the fuck out of each other for hundreds of years, literally. Denmark and Sweden are two of the nations on Earth that have been at war the most, okay? The three of us have been butchering each other for centuries, and yet look at us today. It's beautiful. It really does actually give me just the tiniest glimmer of hope for the human race. Okay, hey Art, I know this may or may not be your thing, but could you make a video on like Warhammer Orc versus Lord of the Rings? Orcs on like Warhammer Space Marine, Space Marine. Well, both of those would be easy wins for the Warhammer portion, that's the problem. And Orc versus Lord of the Rings Orc, well that's not even fair, is it? One is a giant pile of muscles, the other is a mutated elf. I mean, it's not even a contest. And a 40k Space Marine versus StarCraft Space Marine. Okay, so you have an ex-convict with the barest hint of weapon training, wearing some half-assed rip-off power armor, with a goddamn windshield on the front, with a bloody machine gun, versus a Space Marine. Good God. It would be like putting a grizzly bear in a cage with a chicken. I'd bet on the bear, but hey, who knows, maybe the chicken is, Kung Fu chicken. Do you realize the world is at an end, just like the end times, and... What? Do you realize the world is at an end? Really? Are we all gonna die soon? I mean, I know I've heard a lot of, you know, stuff about, oh, the world is ending, but it hasn't happened yet. I don't think Russia's that dangerous. I mean, Putin is a funny old bastard, but I don't think he's going to be nuking us just yet either. Haven't the faintest. When was the last time you played Romantic Battles? Tabletop. Ooh, last time? Circa 2 years ago, I think? It's been a while. That was a fairly slapdash game as well, as pretty much everyone I know who actually plays has moved away, and I do know some people that play in Oslo, but that's like a 2-hour car drive just to get there, and then 2 hours back, so I'd pretty much have to dedicate an entire day to getting one game in, which I really... As much as I do adore Warhammer and 40k, like, dedicate an entire day to a game is unlikely to happen. Just the organization alone would be quite hard to do, so yeah. What will I really play when you return to Call of War? I haven't the faintest. I'll probably let you guys vote on it if I do. Are you a dwarf? I have a beard. That's my final answer. Question, do you follow any sports teams? Sports is a terrible thing. You shouldn't do it. It'll get you injured and dead, which is a problem. So what sports are they Norwegian-based? Well, we have Norwegian drive-bys, which is Norwegians on skis shooting targets, shooting things. That's... strangely enthralling to watch. I don't have the faintest idea what's going on or anything, but it's strangely enthralling to watch. Ski jumping is also a funny little sport. I mean, just the potential for someone to really fall and just roll all the way down the hill is certainly enticing, but it's not really something I'm particularly interested in. As for the major sports like football, etc., I couldn't give less of a shit, honestly. What was your favorite rule edition of Warhammer to play? Not even entirely sure. I think I'd have to say 4th edition, honestly, actually, which is really, really old. I just have the most fond memories back from then. Faction in 40k, Blood Angels, because broken, and or Warhammer, do you like the least? Oh, the least. You tricked me there. I thought it was like, which faction do you like the most? Oh. Do you like the least? 40k, Tau, those cheesy little motherfuckers, and Warhammer, well, dwarves, again, cheesy little motherfuckers. What's your opinion on Australians? Damn son of a bitch bastards, honestly. They have that accent, which sounds way sexier than my accent, which I find damn right unfair. It's just, it's unfair, it really is. Why should those people live in a warm, nice country with warm water, fairly hot women as well? Well, they're great. Granted, the deadly animals is a drawback, but still, and they even get to sound good. Fuckers, all of them. Favorite knightly order in Warhammer? Ooh. It'd probably have to be the Knights of the Blazing Sun, purely just because they look kick-ass, and they're one of my first knightly orders that I actually painted, because gold, and I was like 12. I was easily impressed back then. Favorite RTS, Hearts of Iron 3 with the Black Ice mod is just barely my favorite RTS over Sacrifice, just because Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice is just good. God, amazing, and I have played so many hours of that, it's not even funny. In real life job, I have answered that one. Which company do you work for? Buind RS, and my last name is Buind, so draw from that the conclusions you wish. And what are you doing, etc. Now that I did answer, so that would be good. Will you do an old ones / orcs, please? As in the orcs' origin story involving the old ones? I am assuming that's what he means, and yes, I will of course cover that background in the orcs video. 10,000 by January. Was that my goal? Might have been way back when. I have grown faster than I had expected, let's just say. How do you think the future in like a year or two of the channel will look like regarding content, but still remain the first? Is there actually that much lore for 2 more years? Hard to tell, but I'd probably have to say yes. I mean, I'm still not done with Warhammer by any stretch of the imagination. Fantasy Warhammer. And now I'm doing 40k to boot, and there's even more in 40k. Do I think I have content for lore for another 2 years? Yes, I honestly think I do. Not to mention the fact that I haven't even started on the Horus Heresy series. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's going to be quite the thing. So, yeah, I do believe there are lore videos for 2 years. I don't know how much long exactly. I couldn't make that a head estimate, but yeah, I do have a fair bit of content still left, certainly. As to, like, on the assumption that I at some point just run out of lore, what would I do? Don't know, honestly. I really don't know. That's kind of partially the reason why I'm also doing the Let's Play in historical nonsense, because I want to be doing more things, because I want to eventually, potentially, like, assuming in 3 years' time I have done everything, I've done all the lore, I've done it all, then, I don't know. The hope is that maybe people will actually enjoy my other content, and I'll keep doing some of that, but honestly, I hadn't given it much thought. I'm just trying to think of it now. But yeah, there is a lot of lore. There is an absolute ton of lore. As for the future of the channel, when it comes to, like, I don't know, viewership, I don't know, quality, well, I'm hoping it'll improve, so yeah. I have been seeing just the tiniest possibility of maybe even making this into some kind of a living, which would be pretty damn amazing. So, and there's always going to be Warhammer games being produced, so that's the thing. So, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I've given you about as much reasons as I can, honestly, because, yeah, not sure at all. What factions would you like to see added to Mordheim? Dwarfs and Orcs, first and foremost. That would be fantastic. What changes would you put forth to make Mordheim a better game? I think a bit more information would be good, because the game has a lot of information to give you, but it often doesn't tell you how to actually get that information, which is not great. So there could be some better game design decisions when it comes to the presentation of the information, but it's still pretty good. It does give you pretty much all of the information you want, it's just that it's kind of hidden, hard to get to. Also, dwarfs and orcs would be fucking fantastic. I would also change the looting system, however. You need to be given a turn after the enemy runs to loot, because that seems kind of ridiculous that you have an enemy at your mercy, and you've killed him, he's down, but you can't loot him because they're instantaneously routed, and you can't fulfill your mission to collect the token. Seems kind of ridiculous to me, but hey. Your lore videos really got me hyped for Total Warhammer. Do you have any recommendation for Warhammer Fantasy lore books, articles? For Warhammer Fantasy, it's got to be Gotrek and Felix, most definitively. I do believe there is a ebook gathering of this now. I don't think the physical books are on sale anymore, but I'm pretty sure there are ebooks of the Gotrek and Felix books. Also, the War of Vengeance series, in the Time of Legends for Warhammer, the Dwarfs vs. High Elves, a really good book series, so check those two out. Real name, Solar Buin. How old are you? I'm not going to tell you, I'm that old. What got you into Warhammer? Like I said, Toy Store. Not the most epic of introductions, I know, but I was young and the models were pretty. How old are you? Good God, why is everyone so interested in this? Why? I don't understand. And since when do you play Warhammer? Like I said, I'd guess around 10, 9, 8, something along those lines. I couldn't tell you for sure. A Chopper or the Daka, where more Daka is better Daka. It's simple as that. Think of a couple of will you ever LP some of the old Warhammer games like Shadow of the Horned Rider Chaos Gate? Probably not, because getting those things to work and to record on modern systems is hard. I haven't checked if Good Old Games, maybe they have released some working versions of them, in which case, maybe. I would love to play Rights of War, but that game is just... playing that without saves coming is just virtually impossible, which is the problem, and that wouldn't look good in a Let's Play video, so probably not. Other than Warhammer, what other franchise universe are your favourites in a kind of media, be it books, video games, etc.? I do quite like Game of Thrones. George R.R. Martin has gone a wee bit off the deep end in recent memory, in my opinion, as he's pretty much killed every single character I actually found interesting, which somewhat lessens the books in my eyes. I've recently started reading Joey Abercrombie's The Blade Itself, which is a really good series so far, so that might be something. As for more popular, I do like Star Wars and Star Trek a fair bit, but not massive fans of either of them, honestly, and Lord of the Rings is a damn good universe, certainly, and the books are fantastic, but I probably prefer Game of Thrones to those, and so far I prefer The Blade Itself, the first Law series, to Game of Thrones, so, yeah, I guess that be it. How much does the fact there are no beastmen in the upcoming Total War game annoy you, as I am pissed off being playing Warhammer many years, and are what I expected to be Grizzle Dragon, yes, excuse me, I got to confuse the remote. Leveling up the armies and lords, it appears that the orcs have taken that role. Well, we don't know for sure that they're not in-game as some kind of NPCs. I would hope that they are in-game as NPCs, but, you know, we can't say for certain, and I would be quite sad if they weren't in the game in any respect. Will you ever show us your face? So this one is the guy who wants to see my face. You people are odd. Unlikely. I don't know. I guess I might do it for some kind of anniversary video, just to have, you know, to have done it. So I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to start doing it regularly. I'm not going to start having face cams on my Let's Play videos or anything. I don't imagine I'll ever do that. And I bet my ass in like 2 years' time I'll completely forget I said that, and there's going to be a face cam, and people are going to be like, "You fucking traitor." So yeah, never say never, naturally, but I can't foresee myself doing that for now, at the very least. I don't really see the reason to do so. I don't know. Unlikely, I think, is going to be the answer. Why is this game your favourite race in Warhammer? Well, Fluffy, of course. Which race do you think will be the strongest in Total War Warhammer? I suspect the Dwarves, because the Dwarves have a lot of bullshit at their disposal. One in Blood Bowl 2. I would say that properly played Dwarves can beat pretty much anything mid to late game. But early game, if you're willing to just play a single game and not worry about a campaign, e.g. taking casualties, etc., Elves, because there's very, very, very little you can do to stop a heavy, passing, running elf play, because they can just run past you, but they're very likely to take casualties doing so. So for a single match, Elves. For a long-term campaign, something bashy like Chaos of the Dwarves. Are the Dwarves a worthy faction of the Skaven? The Dwarves are terrible people. As a Skaven player, they are terrible, terrible people. But I do absolutely adore their lore, though, I really do. Like I've said before, the War of Vengeance series is beautiful, and they really capture the Dwarves' essence, their thought, their ideas, their way of making war, their way of coming to decisions. I do love the bearded little bastards when it comes to the lore. I just despise fighting them on the tabletop. Good God. It's really hard to beat Dwarves as Skaven. Incredibly hard. It requires some seriously lucky dice rolls. And preferably an unlimited turn timer. Beating Dwarves in the standard limitation of 6 turns? Holy shit, that is hard. That requires some serious lucky dice rolling. Do you have any other funny stories about your family apart from your uncle, grandfather's shit story? Not at the top of my mind, no. I do have, most of them are honestly just kind of a little bit sad, you know. We have a part of our family who has been utter assholes to the rest of us. I have a cousin who has literally stolen money from my grandmother, who just literally taken advantage of her. She was old and she was sick. She couldn't think properly and he took advantage, which isn't really a funny story at all, so I'm not really going to go into that here, so yeah. What is your favorite genre of film, and what is your favorite film within that genre? Ooh. You know, this is going to sound like pretentious cunt nonsense artsy shit, but my favorite film is Die Welle, which is a German film that is based on the social experiment that took place in America. An experiment to see if Nazism could flourish in a modern society. I adore that movie. I absolutely love it because so many people today refuse to look at history and learn its fucking lessons. That is why we are having the left today, well, parts of the left I should be saying, be completely out of control, and helping the extreme right back into power by being batshit insane, and humanity, having an extremely short memory, is starting to think that, you know what, the left is so batshit right now that I'm going to start voting for the extreme right. And as someone who is right-wing person myself, I think that is insane. The extreme right, is dangerous. But the problem is, currently, the extreme left is a greater threat to Western civilization than pretty much anything. The Muslims, what are they going to do? They're going to invade us? No. They kill maybe a couple hundred people per 2-3 years in Europe, a country of hundreds of millions of people. They are not a threat. We are not going to be Islamicized by Islam. That's nonsense. The whole Islamification is nonsense. Well, it's not nonsense in and of itself, but the Muslims being the primary force behind it is nonsense. The left is the problem, and it's the extreme left, bear you in mind. The reasonable left, are perfectly reasonable, good people. Anyone who is willing to defend freedom of speech is perfectly alright in my book. But anyone who is willing to attack freedom of speech, no. No. Freedom of speech is the most important right we have. So, and Die Welle is a movie about that, to bring me back on track here before I properly start going off the rails. But yeah, Die Welle, certainly, everybody should watch it. Everybody literally should watch it. Fuck me, it should be on school's curriculum. You should not be allowed out of school before you have watched Die Welle. You should not fucking be allowed to take an education without having to watch this movie. Now, granted, the end was ridiculous, and I would have much rather they had adopted the actual end of the social experiment in America rather than the bullshit Hollywood ending of the German movie, but it's still a fantastic movie and everybody should watch it. But I also want to add in my non-pretentious cunt artsy film favourite, which is actually 2 films. I know I'm cheating here, I'm going to list 3 films, but I don't like a whole lot of films, so when I get the question I do have to list the ones I like the most. The film I like the most that is just good old-fashioned action-y stuff is the recent Dredd, the Judge Dredd film. God, was that good, and nobody expected it to be good. In fact, it tanked at the box office because everyone saw it. A film about Judge Dredd? Are you shitting me? It's got to be terrible. I mean, remember Sylvester fucking Stallone? Just, no, it's never going to be good. And it comes out, and it is amazing. Like, literally just amazing, and I loved it to bits, and it's never going to get a sequel, and that makes me want to bash my head against the wall until I forget, so that's sad. And the British movie, or it's not British, I've been misnaming it, haven't I? Isn't it Irish? I think it's actually Irish or Scottish, I can't remember. I'm sorry, Ireland or Scotland, but yes. The Guard is a brilliant dark humor movie. I fucking love it. Oh, good God. Like, it is the absolute perfect anti-social justice and political correctness movie. It's just, it is beautiful. It really is. I love that movie. If you are easily offended, you will not like The Guard. But if you are like me, who likes intelligent humor that makes fun of modern social etiquette and all of that stuff, oh yes, so. Okay, I guess that was 2 pretentious cunt movies. Okay, sorry, but yeah. You have your answer. I am curious as to what informed your choice on certain aspect of content creation, in particular video length. It would have been to take the Vaults of Terror approach and just... It would have been to take the Vaults of Terror. Just do 50-minute videos, the unapologetic style of humor, which might have limited your view base, and finally, what made you branch into full-on non-Warhammer Let's Plays. Thank you for the story times. Okay. A little bit confusing, but never mind. English is not our first language. I'm confusing as fuck most of the time, so shit. Okay, it would have been to take the Vaults of Terror. I'm assuming he means it would have been easy to take the Vaults of Terror approach and just do short videos. The reason why I don't do that is because I don't like short videos. I don't think you can make... And this is not a slight towards Vaults of Terror, by the way. He makes excellent content, but I think that Warhammer 40k and Warhammer deserves long videos. I think they deserve to be talked about in a conversationalist tone that talks about the subject rather than just reading you the information, so to say. Because that's the kind of videos that I like to watch. I like to watch the ranty style of videos, so I'm essentially just making the content that I would like to see. As for the style of humor, unapologetic, well, again, it's my humor, isn't it? Like I mentioned, I am a fan of freedom of speech. If somebody doesn't like my humor, then okay, so be it. I don't mind. It would be a rather ridiculous thing for me to criticize other people for their sense of humor, considering I barely have a sense of humor, so there's that. I'm not a very funny person, so I think the only reason why people do consider me funny occasionally is because I don't give a shit about political correctness or anything or whatever. I will just say it like I see it, no matter what. I don't give a shit. And as to it might having limited my viewer base, I don't really think so. I honestly don't. I think that most people today are intelligent enough to be willing to listen to other points of views. And, I mean, look at my growth. Clearly, people do enjoy my content and like watching it, and occasionally people disagree with me, which is perfectly okay. I don't mind. I'm not going to censor them for that. Occasionally people take quite proper umbrage with some of my opinions, which also I don't give a shit. From my perspective, I strive to make videos where I just do my things. If, like the recent feminist video on Warhammer 40k, the reason I did that was because I thought it was funny, and I needed cheering up, so I wanted to do it, and I did my damnedest to not be offensive in that video, or at least I felt I wasn't offensive in that video. I never called the man out on it. I do believe I called him a moron, because he was acting like a moron. If someone is saying something remarkably stupid, I think you should be okay to call him stupid, but I don't know. Was I overly offensive? Did I call him mean things? Did I call him a racist, etc., a horrible human being, stuff like that? Did I wish him to die in a fiery pit, etc.? I didn't do any of these things, and interestingly enough, comments on my channel after that have been stuff exactly to that respect, so I guess, yes, maybe it has limited my viewer base, but honestly, if that's the kind of viewer base I'm limiting myself from, I'm perfectly fine with that. In fact, there was a lovely little mini discussion I'm having with one person that has been a long-time subscriber who disagreed with me on feminism. And I'm actually having what I think to be a very reasonable discussion with him, because I don't agree with his views, he doesn't agree with my views. I'm not trying to convince him, I'm suspecting he's trying to convince me, but I don't really mind. You know, I think we can have reasonable discussions about everything, and I think that the idea of feminism, which in my opinion is a supremacist and totalitarian movement where dissension is simply just quashed, and there's plenty of evidence to that, I don't like it. It rubs me fundamentally the wrong way. It is against everything I believe in. The idea that we should simply accept diversity for diversity's sake is not something I believe in. People have their own choices. We should strive to end such things as racism, as sexism, and I think we have made fantastic strides towards that, to the point where I don't think there's any problem talking about it anymore. I don't think it should be a taboo subject. I don't think anything should be a taboo subject. So, again, I wandered off on a bit of a rant there, but if that has limited my viewer base to people who like logic, reason, and to think that talking about things is good and have likes an intellectual debate on things, that likes non-politically correct humor, then yes, that is the viewer base I want. And the rest, well, if they don't like me, they don't need to watch me. Really that simple, in my opinion. But hey, last part. What made you branch into full-on non-Warhammer Let's Plays? Content, essentially. I wanted to have something for people who enjoy just watching me do stuff to watch, and it's easy stuff to produce. I like doing it. That's why I like uploading it. And, you know, some people do like it. It's a fairly small portion of my total viewer base. Most of my Let's Play videos average out at about 1,000, 1,500-ish views, roughly around a day, while my lore videos average out to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 in a day. It's not that much of a disparity, so yeah, I'm going to keep doing them, so if you don't want to watch them, of course, you're free not to, but the thing is, even if I weren't doing them, I wouldn't be producing more lore videos, simply because I need to pace myself to do that, because when I was producing a lot of lore videos back in the day when I was really excited about Total Warhammer, I burnt myself out, and I don't want to do that again, so to say. So, yeah. That's pretty much the reasons. And you're welcome for the story times. Will you do more lore about the Night Lords of the Empire? Yes, I will. In fact, I'll probably do one after I'm done with Titans, which is the episode you got today, Friday, and one more episode probably. Maybe another? Not entirely sure yet, but yes, there will be more Nightly Orders. Why don't you like Age of Sigmar? Ooh, sorry, that is... I can't start listing the reasons here, I'm afraid. I know my video on it was a bit ragey and just disappointed and angry, I know, but yeah. I just don't like the lore, I don't like the setting, I don't like the way they went about creating it, and perhaps most importantly, I really, really don't like the rule set. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think I could forgive the lore, even if the rule set was really good, but it would have helped, certainly, so yeah, that's about it. Favorite faction in 40k? Blood Angels and Imperial Guard, like I mentioned. What do you think of StarCraft lore? I think it's 40k lore, just worse, so... What's your opinion of Mullah Krekar? Mulan. Okay, so for those of you who don't understand, Mullah Krekar is a Muslim extremist in Norway who has been linked to terrorist organization. In fact, he even went to essentially, allegedly I should say, fight for a terrorist organization. And he's an extremist. He has been alleged to beat the shit out of his wife and family, and he's a thoroughly dislikable guy from all I have ever heard about him, so I would think that my opinion is that he is a thoroughly unlikable guy with extreme religious convictions, and in my opinion, extreme religious convictions are very rarely good. Be they Christian, be they Muslim, be they Jewish, be they anything. Extreme religious convictions are not good. You can be a Christian, you can be a Muslim, you can value the ideas, the values of the religion, you can live by its credo, that's perfectly fine, as long as it is within the social norms of our current modern day society, I suppose I should say. Like, for example, in the Muslim holy scriptures, women are worth precisely dick. I don't think that's a very good stance to take. I do think that we should be equal in all ways, in our ways of opportunity. And I think we are. I think we live in a meritocracy. And I think that we are equal. Well, honestly, I think, and I can prove, that women have more rights than men in the modern society, but I also think that is correct, because some of these rights is necessary for women because we are a sexually dimorphic species. Simple as that, really. But hey, yeah, I don't like him. I have never met the man. Perhaps he's a really nice guy in real life, but yeah, I don't think so. I would be extremely surprised if he ended up being a reasonable individual, let's just say. What is your favourite Skaven clan? Scryer. Without a doubt. I love Scryer. All of their crazy war machines. God, I love them. Like, Eshin, Mold, and Pestilence are all fantastic, but Scryer and their batch insane war machines are just fantastic. I don't know if this is a premature question, however, I assume you will be LPing to the War Army. Yes, I will. Out of the 4 or 5 factions, which will be your first? I will let my subscribers vote on that. I won't be playing Chaos because I refuse to buy the Chaos DLC. What is your favourite 40k faction lore-wise? Thank you for the congratulations. Lore-wise, 40k Imperial Guard, I have to say, because I just love the idea of just humans fighting aliens and shit. I know it's cliched, but I do adore it very much so. How do you speak perfect English? Well, I don't. I have been told repeatedly that I do not, so there's that. But lots of television has helped quite a lot, and of course, there's no way to excuse me, there you go, the evidence that I do not speak perfect English. There's no better way to learn a language and to learn to speak it than to just speak it. Simple as that. Even if you're just talking to yourself, it helps a lot, in my opinion at least. Would you ever show your army to a battle report fantasy of 40k? Like I mentioned earlier, and if you've gotten this far into the video, you've probably forgotten at this point, No, probably not. I'm ashamed of them, honestly. They're horribly painted. They're really ugly. I suck at painting. Oh god, I do. Like, if it was one of those fantastic armies that you see in, like, Golden Demon, etc., if you see the ones you used to see in the Warhammer magazine White Dwarf, those fantastic armies, then I'd be showing them off left, right, and centre, but no. I am very, very bad at painting. Also, will you do Hearts of Iron 4 Let's Play when it is released? Yes, almost certainly. In fact, I would love to do a cooperative video on that with another friend of mine who's also a bit of a history geek. We're gonna have to see what kind of state it launches in, because Paradox multiplayer has a tendency of being a little bit wonky, shall we say. Why does your new theme sounds like the opening to A-Team? Couldn't tell you, because I have actually never watched the A-Team, so too bad. What's going to you into Warhammer Fantasy Warhammer 40k? Again, toys. And then later on the lore books, which I found absolutely fascinating. Are you going to play more Call of Warhammer? Don't know. I really don't know. I couldn't answer that. Like, if Total War of Warhammer turns out to be complete shit, then probably, but I don't know. Are you going to do a lore video on the Dark Space Marines soon? I assume you're meaning Chaos Space Marines. Soon? Probably not, no. Because I would like to do the Legions, Space Marine Legions first, before I start diving into individual chapters and Traitor Legions and that kind of stuff. So, no, probably not. It's going to be a while. Congrats, thank you very much. Will you be making a Orcs and Goblins army roster video? Army updates will be coming. I did make a basic video on it, but I'm going to be waiting before I see more before I make another one, certainly. Congrats, thank you very much. Will you ever do a video on the end times and age of Sigma while explaining why you're heading to live as reality? You know, I think my rant video is going to be just my video on this, because I doubt I would be able to give it, I want to say a fair shake, but honestly, my honest opinion is it's shit. My objective opinion is that it's shit. I hate the rules, I hate the lore, I just don't like it. So, no, I've already made a bit of an angry video on it, and, you know, I'm probably not going to make another one, because it should just be me being angry again, probably. I don't think I would ever be able to make just a rational listed video on it. I don't think I want to either, so probably not. I think the little rage video is going to be all I'm going to be making on it. Release from another episode. Yes, I did indeed watch that. You're welcome, of course. I would like to ask you if you will ever play games with Warhammer Mods as Mountain Blade Warband with our Modernized Wars. Probably yes. I'm not entirely sure on the format yet, but probably yes. What do you think about Russia, just as a nation, or currently? Currently, I think Russia is in a very regressive state. They're starting to degenerate back into a Soviet state, which I think is a very bad idea, both for the world and particularly for Russia. They have a very large problem over there with their government, with their bureaucracy, with the level of corruption. It's a very, very unfortunate position that Russia finds itself in, and it's partly due to the fact that Russia has been run by oppressive dictators for a very uncomfortable amount of time. They haven't had a chance to turn into a modern, educated state, in my opinion. Now, I know that might sound horrible, and you might argue that there are, of course, education in Russia. Of course there is, and there are Russians that are educated and intelligent people. Of course there are. There are even educated and intelligent people who agree with Putin, either from nationalistic ideas or simply just because they saw Russia as heading in the wrong direction previously, and it definitely was, don't get me wrong on that one. The quote-unquote democracy that was installed in the country after the fall of the Soviet Union was no true democracy, and it was very, very bad. You will get no arguments from me there, but I do think its current direction is not good. Going deeper into isolationism and starting to attack neighboring countries like Crimea and Georgia, I don't think it's a good direction, but I haven't the faintest idea how you could reverse it either. It is something that the Russian population will have to decide for itself. If they are okay with the status quo of being a fairly underdeveloped, frankly, country in Europe where the rich have far more power than they deserve, or they should have, then, well, that is their choice. I mean, Russia is the country in the world now with the highest concentration of poor people contra millionaires. It's a very, 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 very bad thing, at least in my opinion, to have that kind of system. I mean, I don't know. What do I think about Russia? Like I said, I think it is in a very bad position. I think it's going to get worse, and I think they have a lot of problems with corruption, with all manners of stuff. I mean, the recent revelations about the doping scandals in Russian sports is... I would say shocking, but honestly, I'm not shocked. I saw this coming from long off. You gotta remember, Norway indeed. Norway is a nation that is deeply into winter sports, and Russians have been convicted of doping in winter sports on several occasions previously, so it's not like we were surprised or anything that the Russians might be having organized the doping going on. The fact that it was so far up the chain in the international community, though, that was shocking, I must admit. But yeah, I don't know what to tell you. What do I think about Russia? I think it's a country. I think it's heading in the wrong direction. I'm worried for it, but it's not like I hate Russians or Russia in general, you know? Am I afraid of Russia? Is that perhaps what you want to know? No, I'm not afraid of Russia. I certainly do believe that there could be a reason for people to be afraid of Russia, certainly because they've been attacking neighboring countries. If I was living in the Baltic states, I'd probably be afraid of Russia, yes. If I was living in Ukraine, I'd probably be afraid of Russia, yes. In Norway, no. I am not afraid of Russia. There is reasons for Russia to invade Norway, because we have vast natural resources in oil, so they might want to. I'm not saying they do, but, there's a reason why they would invade us, certainly. There's reasons why they would want to invade Sweden and Finland, too, strategic reasons. However, attacking Georgia is one thing. Taking over the Ukraine by little green men is one thing. Attacking a major European country... No, I do not think Russia is going to do that, because I'm pretty sure that Russia knows that if it ends up becoming a conventional arms conflict between Russia and Europe, that would be an extremely one-sided conflict, and I don't think anyone wants that. Especially, I don't think anyone wants either party to be forced into a situation to potentially use nukes. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's a complicated question, but yeah. I've tried to make my thoughts clear on the matter, I suppose. What kind of game genre would you like to see Warhammer or Warhammer 40k in that all? Has it already been done, or is coming out late Total War or Warhammer? Simulators. Simulators and large-scale multiplayer shooters, like Battlefield-style stuff for Warhammer 40k. Or a simulator to play a 40k Titan, for example, from first person, like a simulation perspective, almost like MechWarrior, but far more complicated and advanced. I'd absolutely love that. As for Warhammer, RPGs. I want to see Warhammer RPGs. I want to see a lot of them. Same for 40k. My wet dream of a game is a open-ended, true freedom Warhammer 40k RPG, where you play as an Inquisitor. Where you can approach a quest. You have to find out where chaos corruption comes from on a planet. You have to find it out. You're just dumped on the planet and you need to find out how. A truly open-ended adventure where you have to use your powers as an Inquisitor to find the truth. With all of its consequences. For example, you could call in an Imperial Guard regiment to simply just search the entire city, for example. Maybe you find some cults, maybe you kill some cultists, etc. Maybe even you find some ringleaders. But the population fucking hates you now, and they're not going to cooperate with you. And maybe that wasn't all. Maybe the corruption goes far higher, etc. Oh, the possibilities for such a game is endless. Oh god, it would be so good. But to begin with, if somebody would be so kind as to make a simulator game for a Titan, I would be... I would appreciate that. Start us out as on a warhound and let's fight tons of campaigners and eventually end up commanding a Titan legion, piloting an Emperor class. Make this game. I want it. Hell, even just give me a turn-based version. Give me a kind of a mech warrior type game with Titans. Give me that. Oh yes, I want that too. I want so many things when it comes to those two. I want so many Warhammer and 40k games, so many of them. Just give me all of them now, if you would be so kind. Okay, moving on. 20k already, that was quick. Yes, it was, wasn't it? I am growing quite quickly, if I have to say so myself. I know I'm licking my own ass here, but I am, aren't I? Question, I would like to know what you do on an average work day. I do extremely boring things, honestly. I convert drawings to a format that we use to program our machines. I answer emails, I do some basic sales work, very basic office works, and I work with robots. Occasionally I get to make automated solutions by programming the robot to do certain things, etc. It's not as fascinating as it sounds like, I'm afraid, but yeah, it's a living, certainly. You deserve more grit vids. I deserve more great videos. Okay. I guess I will endeavor to create more great videos. I don't know. Yes, probably something along those. Can you please make a battle report video? As I said, unlikely. Very unlikely, unfortunately. As I'm very, very ashamed about my models, primarily. Why did you why did you not do a Demons of Chaos Army video yet? Yes, I know, this is a question I've been asked several times. It's because the current Demons of Chaos Army is the Matwardian Demons of Chaos Army, and I fucking hate them a lot. I despise them. The fact that they started mixing Warhammer 40k and Warhammer units just to save on making two armies... I don't want to make them because I don't think I could do them justice. It would be a rage video, essentially, and I don't really like making rage videos, honestly, contrary to popular belief. Okay. Small question regarding your Mordheim playthrough. How do you feel about the game? I like it. I really does like it. Does it somewhat have the same potential as the tabletop version? Does it live up to the tabletop version? I'd probably say so. It's a damn good game, honestly. They really did capture the feel of Mordheim. There are some nitpicking nonsense here and there needs to be more factions, certainly, but I think it's a damn good game. If you were suddenly thrown into Warhammer Fantasy Battle 40k, what would you do in order to survive? I would die. Now, Warhammer Fantasy Battles... Well, I'd try to make my way to the nearest Empire settlements, and I'd start inventing shit. I'd be using my knowledge to make better black powder weaponry, make guns, make whatever I can, really, to make myself indispensable to the Empire. And start working my way up from there. I mean, becoming a famous inventor might not be the best way of living in Warhammer Fantasy Battle in the Empire. Being a noble would be preferable, but making myself rich of technological inventions would work. I could certainly draw up and create some automatic weapons, assault rifles, etc. I know how they work. I know how their schematics look. It would take me a while, certainly, but I could do it. Tanks, aircraft, I could really start building some cool shit that would give me a fair bit of leverage, I would think, and in 40k... much the same thing, really. I couldn't do quite the same stuff, but I could give them quite a few pointers on more effective stuff. For example, you could teach them how to make a more effective economy, because the current economy in 40k is quite feudal. It could be improved upon massively. I could certainly give them some technological pointers and stuff like radios, perhaps. You know, I have some technical knowledge that I could make use of. And of course, I have lore knowledge, which I could most definitively make some use of. So, I think the answer would be find the local officials and try to ingratiate myself as much as humanly possible. But yeah, it would be a very, very hard life indeed, most certainly. What is your favourite character from Warhammer Fantasy? Which one? I've answered this one, so Warhammer Fantasy lore character you relate the most with and why? Relate the most with and why? Fantasy lore character. Shit. A cynical smartass in Warhammer Fantasy. Yeah, Gracier Thankful. I cannot pronounce his name for some massive... I don't even know. But yes, the Gracier Thankful, definitely. Because yes, I identify as a Skaven. That is my sexuality now. I am a Skaven, so fuck you. I need to pull that on a feminist at some point in the future. Okay, I know this is not a question, then why are you asking, silly boy? But I'd like to know more about your personal life. I know some YouTubers don't like doing that. If not, then what got you into doing YouTube? The excitement for Total War Warhammer got me into doing YouTube, essentially, so I really liked the idea of the game. I wanted to do videos on the game, and so I did videos on the game. Nice and simple. Keep up the videos. Which country is the best? Norway or Norway? Norway, of course. If you had the power to make a model for a Warhammer army, what would it be, and what is the model you most dislike? If I make a single model, I would make an official model of Sanguinus, the Primarch, certainly, for 40k. As for Warhammer, harder question. I know you didn't actually ask about 40k, but it was the only one I had a simple answer to, so I did that one first. Warhammer Army, what would I like to see modelled? Good question, good question. Most like to see modelled, most like to see modelled. They have modelled a lot of them. If it's a single model we're talking about, I'd probably like to see an updated model of Queek Headtaker, honestly, because his model is getting really, really old now, and I do like him a lot. Thankwall's model still looks awesome, so I don't need to update that one, but if it's a brand new model, honestly, I don't know. They've modelled so many, I'm just trying to come up with something, but now I'm kind of failing now. For a Warhammer army, what would it be? What would it be indeed? I think the Imperial Dragon. I think that would be the one, because according to the little lore we do have about it, it's somewhat a unique creature, so that could be a cool model, certainly. What is the model you most dislike? I don't really have a model I truly hate, honestly. I love most of them. One I have got a little bit of umbrage with, however, is the Lead Belchers for the Ogres. Because, you know, they're carrying around these massive cannons, but they have nowhere to carry the ammunition, mostly. I'd love for some pouches or backpacks, basically backpacks to add to them. Large backpacks. I know some of them have some basic backpacks, but that's barely enough for one shot, honestly. Some proper big backpacks stuffed full of random rusted junk to load the weapons with. That's probably it, honestly. I like most of them. The Games Workshop does a fantastic job of making models, they really do. Which faction will you play in Total War Warhammer? Yeah, that's up for the choice of the subscribers, so there'll be a vote on that, so... Also, when will you do Chapter Legion and Neo Alpha Legion? It's going to be a while, especially with the Alpha Legion. That's going to be a while, because they're currently having a really good storyline in Horus Heresy, so I want to see how that works out first. Do you think they will implement a good and working version of sea combat in Warhammer Total War? I hope so. Think so. I don't know. I'm not sure. It would be hard, but I hope so, yes. Realistically speaking, which land zone do you think will be done in those expansions of Warhammer Total War? I hope the whole map, but I doubt it. It's going to be the old world, Ulthuan, Nagaroth, certainly, and then eventually the new world, Lustra, essentially. And I'm hoping Ulthuan, Nagaroth for the first one, And then Lustria and Nehakara for the second one, is what I hope. And think, realistically speaking. I would really like to say that I'd hope that the ogres will also be introduced in the Nehakara Lustria one, though. That would be really, really, really cool. So that's what I realistically think. Not to invade your personal life, but you've mentioned some elements about your professional life and it sounded interesting too, so what is your job? Well, I've answered that one. A relatively simple question, what made you start making videos on YouTube? And answered that one as well. What factions do you like to play on Tabletop, Warhammer, Fantasy, and 40k? Skavens and Blood Angels. Campaign video and amount related was... Yes, eventually. Good job, you are reaching your gold age. What? Gold age? Okay, sure. I don't... What? Gold age? Oh, I guess he means that the channel is prospering. Oh, yes, well it is, so that's cool. Will you do a face reveal? Not yet, or anytime soon. You know what? When I get 100,000 subscribers and I get that silver YouTube button, then I'll do a face reveal with that, probably. So, yeah. What is your... They do give those silver buttons to people outside America, don't they? I honestly, I don't know, but I want that silver button, so hurry up and give me 100,000 subs. Then you'll get to see my hideous bearded face. What is your job? Answered that one. Why does the dwarfs have a bad relationship with the elves? Ooh, long questions, but... If you Google Warhammer... The War of Vengeance, you will be given plenty of lore on, and I will be making a lore video on it. I'm kind of waiting to see if Total War Warhammer is going to have any kinds of elves in it to begin with, because I would really, really like to make lore videos with the new game as the background. If not, I'll probably just use Call of Warhammer for that at some point, because I do want to make lore videos on the War of Vengeance, or the War of the Beard, which was the great apocalyptic war that happened between the dwarves and the elves. Favorite Warhammer fantasy faction? Skavens, obviously. What is your job? Answer that one. What faction do you think will be in Total War, unplayable, unplayable? I hope all of them, and honestly I kinda think all of the major factions that currently have army books, because, they said they want to do all the map, and they, I don't even know, because they keep saying they want to go in depth, and they keep disproving that with their actions, but, I'm still optimistic. I still want to see all the factions, I still hope to see all of the factions. Do a face reveal? Yeah, like I said, well, just a while ago. Give me 100,000 on the silver YouTube buttons, then I'll do it. About Fimir, the halflings, and the giants. Probably at some point, yes. And how old are you? That is the final question, and no, I'm too old to be talking about my age. Okay. Jesus Christ, that took a while. I'm starting to regret promising to answer all of the questions, but... I got through all of them, didn't I? So, yeah. Again, I am Arch. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you'll stick with me in the future. And, yeah, if you've got to the end of that, congratulations, you are a true fan. For good or bad. Thank you very much for subscribing, thank you very much for watching, and, yeah. Have a wonderful day.